Okay, guys.
Yes.
We're live.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome to the inaugural episode of Nerds of the Round Table, where we discuss all things nerdy. Today, I'm your host, Rick. We've got Gary and Jacob, two brothers that I've known for a very long time. We've all expressed our eternal love of Star Wars and, of course, all things geeky and nerdy as well. Today, we hope to discuss, hash out some ideas with Episode 7. Star Wars Force Awakens. We've got many topics to discuss as far as ideas about certain characters and good stuff like that. And I guess Jacob is ready to start the discussion. So
They make a new Star Wars?
yeah. You are hilarious, sir.
No, it hasn't been
Yes,
plastered on everything for about a year.
Even fucking makeup.
All right, guys. So what's the first theory we want to tackle, or first point of contention we want to hash out?
I'd like to hear what everybody's thoughts are on new characters. We already know about the old characters and that they were done well. The new characters, I want to hear what everybody thinks about each one of them. You know, you got Kylo, you got Rey, you got Finn, and Poe, and there's a lot of good characters, I think, in this new series that kind of are unique in their own respect, with a little bit of throwback to some of the older characters too.
Well, I mean, let's start with you then. Give us your thoughts and ideas.
Probably my favorite character out of it's Kylo. Out of all the bad guys I've ever seen in a Star Wars flick, he's got to be the most interesting of the bunch. All the others seem very calm, very collected. They know what they want, they do it for their reasons, and they feel right and justified in those reasons. Like Darth Vader and the Emperor, they felt like that was the right thing to do, so they just rolled with it. Whereas you have people like Kylo, and he's a completely different animal altogether. He's very angry and wild and obsessive, and a lot of dangerous elements wrapped up in there that make him an interesting character to me, far more than the Emperor Vader in some respects.
A sycophant, if you will.
Did you say Finn?
Yeah, I called him a sycophant.
Oh, yes. As far as Finn goes, I think he's probably my second most interesting character of the bunch, because even after this episode, you still know very little about him. You just know that he defected from the troopers. There's some book and some expanded materials that are canon that tell about how that led up to that, but I haven't had a chance to go through them yet. But it seems like he's interesting for that reason. I'm kind of tossing around an idea that I've heard on the internet on a couple of YouTube channels that possibly he's like a double agent. He doesn't realize, like, he's a sleeper agent, and
Gotcha.
at some point in time he may betray the whole lot, kind of like a Lando in a way. It might not necessarily be his fault, but at some point in time he may end up turning. That makes him interesting to me, because there's a lot of unknowns with him. It's part of the reason why I still like Yoda as well as I do. There's a lot about him you don't know. You don't know the name of his race. You've only seen 2 of those characters in 6 movies. Yoda and Yaddle out of, I think, episode 1, and maybe she was in 2. And those are the only times you ever really see any information about them. You don't know much about their culture or how they do things, other than what you've seen through Yoda and one character who sat in the background and said nothing. So, and it kind of makes him interesting, because it lets you play with what their game is and what their role is and everything. As far as, like, Rey, I have so many ideas that wander around about who she is and what role she's still going to play in all this. because it seems like she has something they're going to drop that's a bomb about her, but you just don't know what it is. And there's a lot of theories that she's the Emperor's daughter, or she's granddaughter or daughter, or she's in some way Anakin reincarnated. And there's a lot of crazy theories about it, but I think it's going to be simpler than that, but it's still going to be shocking when it's unleashed.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that everybody is driving forward on that is that they believe that Rey is Luke's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the furthest from the truth because it's the easiest assumption.
Yeah, and JJ doesn't operate that way ever.
You know, it's the easiest assumption that's the reason she found Luke. No. My theory on that is that, and me and Rick may have talked about this before, is that I, honest to God, think Rey is Kylo's sister.
I've heard one other person make a good argument on that, and their explanation was that in the flashback, you see her laying on the ground like this, and Kylo's standing above her with his saber open and ready to use, but he's not using it on her, and he obviously has her at a disadvantage. Now, granted, it's just a flashback, and you don't see what came before or after that, but part of that theory was that Kylo is the one who dumped her on Jakku so that she wouldn't fully realize her potential and actually be a Jedi at any point in time, or a threat to him or Snoke.
Well, do you not find it odd that, you know, let's go back to 1977. Let's go to episode 4 or 1, whichever the fuck timeline they want to go in. Where was Luke? Luke was on Tatooine. Now she's on Jakku. I think that you know, and everybody thought the same thing that I did, you know, watching the previews of the damn movie and stuff like that, is that Jakku in the previews was Tatooine.
Yeah.
Call me a liar.
Is a what for Tatooine?
It's kind of like a throwback.
Yeah, well, it's a throwback. It was, you know, but J.J. Abrams wanted to invent his own universe of what Star Wars was, rather than use Tatooine, which was the easiest thing to do. He invented another planet that's a desert planet. It doesn't have two that if there's a bright center of the universe, it's the furthest from. But you know, he did create another desert planet. And, you know, it didn't have Mos Eisley or anything, but there are definitely homages to the original story. I find it crazy that Kylo Ren goes and is trained by Luke Skywalker. He turns to the dark side of the Force. I think that Han realized that was going to happen, and they got Rey the hell out of there.
That's a good possibility, but if you remember in the movie, it's almost like Leia didn't even remember who she was. You know, she didn't have any recollection of who she was. She asked her name even. So she didn't know her name or anything about her whenever she talked to her the first time. And when you go on into it, it's like it's almost like Rey is a completely new person to her, and
well,
you would think of it as her daughter, being a Force wielder and everything. She'd have been right on that.
Did Vader know who Leia was?
This is a good point.
Would Kylo have recognized her? I mean, with his powers with the Force, or his developing powers with the Force, did he not sense when in close proximity to her?
Well, if you notice, Kylo does go bananas at the point in time he finds out a girl on Jakku was affiliated with that droid, with BB-8. He goes actually a little off the deep end. he begins to go a little wild over that. So he knows her, to some degree or somehow he knows who she is. They
But
just
go through the entire movie without giving us the slightest bit of hint of that.
I know it's kind of bizarre because he does make several references to a girl on Jakku, like he knew she was there, that she was a girl, maybe not her name, but then says, "Oh shit, well she's with the droid," and then his primary concern isn't the droid anymore. Before he has a face-to-face with her, his primary concern is her. It shifts from the plans in the droid to Rey.
Let me put forth a theory here. What if she's not related to fucking anybody?
I mean, it's entirely possible. So then, what's the
what
origin?
If she is just another compound of the metachlorides, combining from the Force and creating another being to balance the Force?
That's what I'm thinking is what has happened with her.
I mean,
I think they've just made it too obvious that it could be Luke or Leia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and Trace, let me build on that if I could.
Okay.
I think what you're saying and what I'm thinking is the obvious is that she is related to somebody. We're all going, who's she related to? Is it Han? Is it Luke? Is it the Emperor? We're all sitting there going, what the fuck's going on? But the truth of the matter is, it could be one of those. Who was Anakin related to? Shmi Skywalker. He was bound and created by the Force. That's it. It could be that simple. We're trying to find the complicated answer to everything, and it's this person, it's that person. He's related to this one because we know how the original trilogy went. But it may be just as simple as she's not related to any damn body.
That's something else I was going to point out too. It's possible she could be a whole brand new character that's unrelated to the series, although that would kind of go out of context because Star Wars has always been about the Skywalker lineage. The Skywalkers have been the center of the prequel. Skywalkers were the center of the original trilogy, and Luke was the primary goal of the most recent movie. So,
what did J.J. Abrams say he wanted to do when he took on this task, and a daunting task at that? It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for a director, or writer, or anybody. It'd be like somebody going, "Hey, Jacob, I want you to write the next Star Wars." I'd be like, "Holy fuck, where do I start?"
Yeah, exactly. And originally he turned it down because he wanted to be in the audience. That's a true fan. Somebody would go, "No, I'll turn that down because I want to be surprised by it."
When he said he took it on, he decided he took it on. He was going to make something original, true to his own story. I mean, who would have thought? I'm going from universe to universe. So let's Star Wars, Star Trek for a second.
If you're a geek, you're probably ADHD at some point in your life, so we get it. You're going to bounce around a bit.
He had you had to have some serious balls to blow up Vulcan. Hey, who's the writer goes, "Oh, I'm going to destroy Spock's fucking planet."
Yeah, exactly.
And make Spock watch it.
Yeah.
No less.
Hey, it'd be like watching your fiance that you're free, like fuck a dick. That's the ball, to destroy and not only say, I really respect Gene Roddenberry. So fuck everything you wrote. Fuck it. Throw it back there.
Yeah.
That's the only way he could have done that. I mean, that's sacred territory right there. The Star Trek versus Star Wars universe. You don't touch that. Don't put your own twist on that because it's already established for decades now. That's the only way JJ could have ever made a movie. A reboot of the Star. I mean, continue on the Star Wars Star Trek Legacy is to reboot to where he could mold it in his direction. without touching
Well,
the original.
it's kind of like we was talking the other night. We sit there and we watch Superman. How many times, everybody knows where Superman comes from. He came from Krypton, for God's sakes. We know that. His planet blew up. Can we get another fucking story, please? My God, we know that story. That's what pissed me off about the Man of Steel. The Man of Steel was good for 15 minutes. And J.J. Abrams took Star Trek and Star Wars, recreated it, turned it around, and said, "Hey, you want to watch Star Wars worth a good demon? Here you go. Thank you. You're welcome."
Trace, what's your take on Ray's story?
I mean, I just think I agree with the mini chlorine or being produced that way.
Yeah.
I think they're leading us in this direction, but I think there's gonna be a twist. JJ's gonna twist something, or whoever it is, but whoever's written everything. I don't know how they're doing it. I know that there's different directors and different writers, but I guess JJ kicks everything off, and I guess is he producing the other two?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I've heard that he's producing and acting as a kind of like a liaison on staying on track, but that's about it.
The next director that's been named is Lawrence Kasdan, who did Empire Strikes Back, which actually had a nice hand in this adaptation of the Star Wars trilogy, or the original trilogy, I should say.
I think Kasdan's the main magic behind the series. I think George's idea was the root, but I think Kasdan really took and chiseled that into the statue of David.
Well, I mean, I think hadn't George Lucas made it pretty obvious that he had nothing to do with this new storyline, basically?
Yeah, they basically took his 3 scripts for 7, 8, and 9 and said, "Nah, we'll try that ourselves."
Yeah. Well, I knew he gave him something, but I didn't know if it was outline or scripts or what it was.
It was an outline.
Was it outline?
Did they ever state why they decided not to go with his outline?
I don't know, unless it was maybe too predictable. Nothing was ever said as to why those were shelved.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why they were shelved, but from all the sources I've heard, they were just shelved, but no explanation was given.
Gotcha.
It was more understood, and of course, like I work for fucking Disney or anything like that, but it was them wanting to go with a different direction away from Lucas. They wanted to basically recreate the story and execute it from the first trilogy that was the second trilogy. Episode 1, 2, and 3. They wanted to make sure that if they made 3 more films, that people weren't going to, fuck, I saw the first, episode 1, 2, and 3, and that sucked. I'm not going anywhere near that damn movie.
Yeah.
It seemed like they brought the fun back.
Yeah. It felt like a Star Wars.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like the actors were acting inside of a cubicle with a bunch of green mats. It really felt like they were in the environments, interacting with the creatures and the objects around them. And their reactions to that are a testament, because they react to the things they see as if they're really there, because they are.
Well, one thing that I noticed right away about episode 7 was that it just paid so much homage to the first 3 films. And when I say the first 3 films, I'm talking 4, 5, and 6. There's a cantina scene. There's a desert battle. There's the desert shipwreck. There's oh god, I'm trying to think of it. My mind's just went blank. But there's so much that's done in that well, the planet getting destroyed. Basically, it's like, okay, well, I want to just go above and beyond. So rather than a planet, it's sort of just
Everybody's checking messages.
send
I heard
James another invite, though.
Well,
But I think it was very respectful that J.J. Abrams, and he said he wanted to make sure that he did something that would recognize
there
how
he
well
is.
the original movies were done,
It's
and
James.
then so
hey,
Uh,
James.
What's up?
just to let everybody know, our two newest ones here is Trace with the Cincinnati Reds, and then James, the one that looks like a mugshot.
and Jacob.
Pretty accurate.
Well, with regard to Ray's origins, I can't help but feel that they got bigger plans than.
Just another relative.
Well, they allude to not knowing her past, so there's going to be some. I feel like, speaking purely from story director point of view, and of course I know nothing of it, but from a very amateur point of view, they make lots of references to her unknown past. It almost feels like there's going to be a big reveal of that at some point in the next two movies, and it just, in as much as it's easy. For them to say, it's easy to say, oh, she's related to Luke or she's, Kylo's brother. It would also be easy just to say she's a product of the Force too, the midichlorians or whatever version of that story you want to go to as well. In my perspective,
Well,
it just feels like there's some build up for her.
Just to let you guys know, I have seen several things where JJ's like, look, the whole midi-chlorian thing, that was stated, and technically it's part of the canon through the prequels, but we're not really going to dive into that anymore. It was just a thing where he kind of said, okay, that kind of takes some of the mystery out of what the Force is, and it kind of ruins the story, so we're just going to forget that element was ever said.
Well, he said he wasn't going to go on the expanded universe, and he's a fucking liar about that.
No, they said that the expanded universe was going to become Legends series, which it is, and that in that, those are Star Wars stories that take place with Star Wars places and people, but they're no longer a part of the main canon anymore. But they reserved the right to utilize those in new ways.
His story was based on anything from the expanded universe, and it is. It's based, largely on Children of the Jedi.
A little bit. There's some big differences between Jace and I can't remember the girl's name in that.
Jason?
No, it was Jace and I can't remember the other character. Yeah, Anakin was one, and then there's a girl. I can't remember her name. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
That doesn't really matter. I mean, he's not that I'm criticizing for it. You would almost have to steal from the expanded universe and stuff like that to have a prudent storyline that would interest anyone involved in the Star Wars universe. People want to know what happened, after Return of the Jedi. It's been a question we've been asking ourselves for almost 30 fucking years. I mean,
I think a lot of that has to do with that they want to reinvent the way that those stories were used, not necessarily throw them out per se, but they're saying there's some good ideas in there, let's reutilize them so that we can make the story a more longer lasting story, because a lot of the EU stuff seemed like it was pretty cut and dry. A character was introduced, character did something, character died, and that was the end of that character. They never really, they were good stories and everything, but that was about it. Give me just a second, I got a rat.
I think we lost James.
Uh-oh. I know he had to mute.
Bro.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess. I mean, we can
That's all
sit here and
he
speculate all day
uses is mine.
about where Ray comes from and where she figures into the story. I mean, it's a pretty, I guess, for obvious reasons, an auspicious meeting at the end of the movie between her and Luke. I don't know. I just can't quite put a finger on where it's going to go from this point.
Did you all feel that the Force was very strong with her, even when she did? I mean, she pulled off a couple tricks right off the bat,
And I had issue with that, but we'll dig into that deeper later.
Well,
I mean,
she had this, she was able to use the Jedi mind trick like Ben Kenobi did against the stormtroopers in the first episode. Yet another reference to the original trilogy and stuff like that. So, did she? I've heard some people say, "Well, Ben Kenobi's kid." Okay, so I don't think he was at the time that it would have been his kid. He was shooting blanks, I'm sure. So,
Hey,
I don't think it's.
he's a Jedi, man.
Yeah, the Force is strong with his sperm.
I mean, you never know.
Well, and
they've never covered that.
one thing that I do want to kind of point out.
Subject of if the Force is strong with you, you don't have to worry about shooting blanks. This is your subject, Rick. Holy shit.
That's what I bring to the table.
You don't have to worry about Viagra either.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh goodness.
I think if Rey turns out to be a Kenobi, she'll be a granddaughter or something like that, or maybe a niece or something to that effect.
The truth of the matter is, if you remember, Anakin Skywalker in Episode 2 talking about, love is welcome, but it is sort of forbidden. They welcome love, but relationship is forbidden, possession is forbidden, and stuff like that. In a lot of ways, truth be known, the Jedi Order was kind of like a modernized socialistic republic. Everything is mine, yours is mine, and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to get too political on this shit or anything like that, but they're talking along the lines of, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. The truth of the matter is, government like that, what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. But he does delve into the fact that they're not really allowed to have relationships. Loving relationships, like marriage or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Well, let me ask you this then, to go on another tangent with this. Wouldn't having children within the Jedis increase their numbers? So wouldn't we want to encourage that? We've seen it being passed down to the Skywalkers.
You would think, but maybe that's their fault.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the flaw in the Jedi Order. Maybe it's the flaw in the Sith. If the Sith got the idea, hey, let's go fucking make some kids and make some more Sith, who's to say that, it wouldn't be one of those situations that, a master race was created, to...
Yeah.
The perfect being.
Yeah.
Maybe caution against doing that.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of parallels between the Empire and the Sith and the way the Nazis operated. So I can kind of see where that could be a possibility.
Didn't the Emperor start the? There's always two.
No, that was
the Sith. Or was that somebody else?
Darth Bane.
Okay.
And the rule was there can be only two: a Sith master and a Sith apprentice. And the reason why.
And Rick and I talked about that back before the movie was even released. I don't know if you remember that or not, Rick, but
yeah. So if there's no physical, biological, or reason within the Force that there's only two Sith? It's just something that the Darth Bane decided to implement?
Darth Bane implemented it because they kept killing each other.
Oh, well,
The greed among the Sith made the hundreds and thousands of Sith turn on each other in a vie for power until there was Darth Bane and his apprentice left. And then he said, okay, this ain't going to work, so there can only be two, a master and an apprentice.
Well, why wouldn't the Jedi realize the same thing?
Well, they're not busy trying to kill each other, for the most part.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to too many numbers, you know, who's stronger and who's going to rule, and you get people like Anakin that come into the Order and stuff like that are, well...
That's the gateway for the Sith. That's what happens.
Yeah, they got this idea about, you know, taking over the galaxy, and I got to tell you, it's a good idea.
I don't know. All right. Well, maybe we should move on past Rey's origins. What were some of the other things? Well, let's talk about keeping on with Rey. Her sudden ability to use the Force like she's had it her entire life. So I have serious issues with this. And she's fighting against a Sith Lord in training. Didn't even know she had the Force until she met I forget the alien's name. And then all of a sudden she can just summon it, focus it enough to fight against the Sith Lord in training. That was the big leap for JJ to ask me to take.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about
I
that?
do feel like it was sudden.
Well, yeah, I think back to the commercials in the 80s. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't fucking know. But, you know, it's obvious that she has some already keen sense of the Force, which would make which is why everyone's theorizing whose child she is, blah, 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 blah. You know. But,
well, there's even some people that believe that she will end up being presented as the Emperor's daughter or the Emperor's grandchild because she picked up on it so quickly. And I don't know if I can buy that. That's a pretty big leap.
No, I don't buy it. I wouldn't buy that for $1.
Grace, what do you think?
I was kind of puzzled because they showed how Luke struggled when he was learning it. They showed, Anakin's struggles. I mean, it just. I'm with you, Rick. I have a hard time understanding how she was able. I mean, even to sword fight, lightsaber fight.
I'm okay.
Using their Force powers on top of,
Yeah.
Well,
yes, absolutely, Trace. I'm glad you said that because I mean, how did she become so keen with the lightsaber? And the truth of the matter is that if you read Expanded Universe before, the Force is what drives you to learn how to use a lightsaber. There is no real Jedi training for that.
Just
so
practice.
To answer that, it's instinct, so to speak.
Another thing I'd point out is even at the beginning of the movie, Rey proved herself a very worthy fighter without a lightsaber. She was wielding her staff.
True story. True story.
So keeping that in mind, switching from that to a lightsaber is different, but it's not so much different that she couldn't get the gist of it being a seasoned fighter, obviously.
But to fend off a trained person?
Yeah, that...
Did the Force at the same time?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
I mean, I could, if she was, was able to summon up enough sword fighting know-how to fend off Kylo in that sense, sure. But then to pull out, her super move, whatever, what have you, it's just a big leap for me to have to take.
Yeah, and
I think that my biggest thing about it was, damn it, she hit him in the leg. There was no real damage done. Why did he give up at that point? I mean, is that big a pussy? He gets a scrape and
Well,
done.
let's keep in mind he's also got a hole in his chest from Chewbacca at that point. Chewbacca laid a heavy shot on him with that big gun that flipped a stormtrooper plumb off his feet.
Yeah.
And being injured like that, I can float him some damage distance because he was bleeding pretty profusely by the time the fight even started.
Let me ask you guys this. Let's and then I'm gonna try to take over, Rick.
No, that's fine.
Did you guys notice that out of all the Star Wars movies that we've ever seen, this is the first one that showed blood?
That's true.
Not true. Cantina scene, Obi-Wan Kenobi, when he cut off the guy's arm. The only time somebody dropped blood. But I've heard a couple people say there are certain type of creatures that have larger blood vessels, and that may be why he bled out a little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to spin it off, but I'd say it was probably because they never thought about it, and then later on they were like, hey.
I'd say it's a bunch of Star geeks jerking off their fucking basements, but
easy now.
You're insulting yourself, by the way.
No, I'm not. I'm in my own basement. If I jerk off right now, that's fine.
Yeah, you better make this one age restricted.
Well, hey, I'll be honest with you. You guys knew when you invited me to this, it was going to be rated fucking R. So.
Oh, we do. We knew.
Yeah, there was a couple conversations about it.
But, to say this though, Luke lost his fucking hand. There was no blood or anything like that. Kylo got, kind of wounded, and even if it's a laser blast, as we learned in Star Wars or anything like that, is the same. It's like a quick lightsaber. It's a projectile lightsaber.
Well, cauterizes.
If you get shot by one, you're instantly cauterized by the wound. So there should be no blood. My question is why, and why was the emphasis made towards Kylo bleeding?
I think it was where he was trying to harness pain to make anger to fight harder. Kind of like a lot of boxers and stuff will punch themselves or hit on themselves to kind of pump up for a fight. That's just my take on it.
I think there's going to be something that's about. It's just a theory of mine. Yeah.
I think we're losing him.
By the fact that he's actually bleeding. Because we saw people get attacked by lightsabers. We saw Max von Sydow get his goddamn head cut off. Basically, there's no blood spraying or anything like that. But Kylo Ren was bleeding, even though he took a shot by Chewie. He was bleeding. And that's immediately when that happened, I was like.
On a side note, when I saw Chewie tore up over Han at the end, that tore me up. I don't know why, but that got to me because you never see Chewbacca tore up.
I tell you what, if it was to take a poll and say who deserves to get to kill Kylo Ren, I'd want to see Chewie rip his arms out of his sockets and beat him over the head with his own arms. I think he earned it.
I think it's going to be Luke, Master, undoing his mistake.
I think that it's going to be Rey, and I think Luke's demise is going to be Kylo Ren, his mistake.
possibility too.
I just hope they don't try to pull off where Obi-Wan sacrificed himself
with
in front
Luke.
of yeah.
Right. They did all their homages
Exactly what I was thinking.
already.
If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. And Obi-Wan was able to train Luke and help him out and lead him to Yoda and everything like that, because he went because Yoda had trained him how to do that. But now, take into consideration this: we have watched Episode 7. When did we watched the end of Return of the Jedi. We saw all of them looking on Luke going, hey, he's happy, it's a good, happy ending. What the fuck happened to him? You know, some new shit went down and they decided to get the fuck out. I mean,
I say we get some thoughts from Rick and Trace for a little bit now.
okay.
Trace, you want to go ahead?
About anything or what we've been talking about?
Well, just the new characters in general. What do you think about each one of them?
Well, I mean, one of them that pops out to me, and they didn't really. I mean, they showed her a lot, but that who?
Maz Kanata?
No. The stormtrooper with the shiny.
Oh, Phasma.
Yes.
It was a. They.
My tummy hurts.
Yes, my wife pointed this out to me. But I mean, they never really, they showed her in all the trailers, but didn't really, what's her story? And she's over all the stormtroopers.
Well, they gave this expectation that she was this badass, and she did not live up to that in the movie.
Yeah, she didn't do anything. I didn't see her do anything.
Right.
Hey, I've got an interesting chat buffer for you. Duke Ashlander said, one of the biggest mysteries is how Luke fits into the plot. What has he become in the past years, and how powerful is he now? Will he be a good guy or a bad guy as the next movie rolls out?
Yeah, I mean, he went into seclusion. I mean, how long had they been looking for him? So who knows if he decided to shun his force powers, or did he take his time to hone them because he realized, or thought he realized, that he did not do a good enough job with Kylo? I mean, that is a big mystery.
Ah, we got Kevin in here now.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
So we were just discussing what's to become of Luke in the grand scheme of this, since he's been gone for such a long time. What has he become since he left? But what's your take on that?
Well, rumor has it he went to find the original Jedi Temple to learn some new stuffs. So I guess that's what we'll find out, hopefully in the next movie, as to what he's actually been doing.
Yeah.
I also read a lot of people are upset about him and Han both ditching out on everybody when they needed him the most.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't mind me, I'm working on something while we talk. So,
That's fine.
So what you're saying? So what you're saying, Kevin, is we can expect Luke Skywalker to be in the next Stomp the Yard.
What?
What?
Swing and a miss, Jacob.
I tried. Fucking assholes.
What's Stomp the Yard?
I think you broke him.
That's not canon.
It's a musical.
Something from the extended universe.
He went out to find some new steps. He's going to learn how to dance.
He's going to learn something that'll hopefully... I heard a rumor that Kylo Ren is actually undercover, so to speak.
Yeah.
The only way he's trying to kill Supreme Leader Snoke.
We had discussed that earlier, actually.
What? What was that?
We had actually kind of discussed that a little bit earlier, about Kylo playing double agent and stuff. way on earlier when we first started, like an hour ago.
I think.
Personally, I just think he's a whiny little bitch.
Yes.
Doesn't know how to deal with his big boy feelings, hence all the freaking out on
Here's a good
stuff.
question. Here's a good question. Here's a good debate. Is he a bigger whiny bitch? And is Kylo Ren a bigger whiny bitch than, say, Episode 3 Anakin Skywalker? Discuss.
Well, they are related.
Oh, jeez.
Let's take after his grandpa in that way.
Wow. Where do you start on that one? they both hit the ground running in that aspect.
Well, we haven't heard Kylo crying about killing women and children yet, so.
Yeah.
Even though he's like super terrorist, working with the First Order to destroy the Senate.
As far as like those two being whiny, I'd have to give that one to Anakin. I mean, jeez. And
yeah, Kylo's not so much whiny as he is impulsive and unable to control his big boy feelings.
Yes.
And him smashing the crap out of things and choking guys under his command, and it's like
very compulsive.
Impulsive.
And he seems to be like almost out of control at most of the time. I mean, just right on the fringe of just being a wild guy swinging a saber everywhere.
Well, I think that part of that's due to him struggling with the fact that, Snoke that could still sense he's not completely down with the dark side.
Yeah.
He even told him, he's like, I'm fighting with the good. It's like,
right. So maybe that's where all this.
Well, he even had that. He had that rant that he said, "I still have this light,
Right.
The light side, I can still feel it." So I mean, he has some issues.
So maybe he needs to learn to listen to Disturbed a little bit more and get down with the sickness.
Right.
Or down with the darkness.
I think he might need some up on his meds.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole reason. That's the whole reason why he killed Han. To try to get the light out.
To try to get closer to Snoke.
To kill the light inside of him.
But part of that is like Snoke's already trained him, so wouldn't he have been able to get close to him before? I'm not so much concerned with Kylo Ren. I'm still wondering who Rey is. Is she a Kenobi? Is she? Because like when Han takes her to Maz Kanata's place, and she's all like, "Who's the girl?" And then they cut away. And so Han obviously knows who she is. I have friends that have big problems with like, how does she know how to fly the Millennium Falcon? And I'm like, well, I could probably drive a school bus, even though I haven't been trained, because all the basic controls are still in the same configuration. I'm pretty sure.
Right. And it wasn't like it was a perfect flight either.
No. She
also she knew all the stuff that the guy had changed on it, so she was obviously a part of that, like maybe help improve it or whatever. But they didn't say that. Like they didn't put a line where what's that guy, Unkar Plutt, the guy that gives out the quarter portions or whatever.
Yeah.
They didn't do a whole scene where, like one line where he goes, "Stay away from that spaceship, even though you helped me." Like there was stuff that they let you assume and figure a lot for yourself. They didn't spoon feed you every bit of dialogue or every plot point.
And that's where the prequels went wrong. They were trying to spoon feed too much that was irrelevant too fast, and it just seemed like overkill. I mean, they had to explain what the Force was.
It was stuff that was boring.
Mm-hmm. It was.
They said it was for kids, and there's like beheadings and talks about trade tariffs and just stuff that was putting me to sleep, and I'm an adult.
I think the biggest problem with the prequels was they tried to drive home so many origins and so many people that we didn't really give a fuck about. That they didn't even tackle some of the characters that we did give a shit about.
And it was also the whole
I would have loved to have seen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we know that Han Solo, from the expanded universe or the prequel universe or whatever worked for the Empire originally.
Yeah, that's how he and Chewbacca met. He saved him from like a slave colony.
Why the
Chewbacca owes him a Wookiee life.
Fuck did we not see that story? Well, we saw Jar Jar fucking Binks.
We haven't seen it yet. They're working on the Han Solo movie, which will probably be, hopefully, like a buddy comedy. Like I don't know if you noticed, like the Marvel movies started out like Iron Man, little jokes, mostly serious, and now it's come to like Ant-Man and Guardians, where it's like pretty, loosey-goosey and just like, hey, these old movies will be heavy, these movies will be fun. I'm thinking the young Han Solo movie is just going to be like pretty enjoyable and fun.
Kind of Indiana Jones type humor.
Me and Chewbacca get together because only hardcore nerds know about it.
Only true fans are going to know about it. The origin of Han Solo, or Children of the Jedi, or how many of you can tell me who Mara Jade is?
Crazy psycho fans like us that know like
way too much.
One of my biggest things with The Force Awakens was like, really? In 30 years, that's the first time Han Solo's used Chewbacca's bowcaster?
Right.
Come on. I know it's basically like a handheld artillery, but they had to have some adventure where it's like, where's my blaster? You're knocked out. I'll use this.
Yeah, all of a sudden, after
did it several
40 years, he turns around and says, I like this.
Right, yeah.
And then the total fail of not putting out bowcaster tool.
One of my favorite things is when he's arguing with Finn on Starkiller Base, and he turns around after Chewbacca lets out a roar, and he goes, "You're cold, really?"
Yeah.
You're cold.
Yeah, every time Harrison Ford was on screen, it was gold.
It was nice to see the humor back in it, because, Star Wars always had those little witty things like that, like, I just soon kiss a Wookiee. I can arrange that. Just those little quick-witted statements like that's what made it fun, on top of the serious and the action and the other elements that make Star Wars Star Wars.
You take something as silly as, what the fuck's a nerf herder? But, he turns around and says, who's scruffy looking?
One thing, you could tell that Harrison Ford was very happy going into this because he wanted Han to die in Jedi. It wasn't like the Falcon wasn't supposed to make it out of the Death Star. Han was supposed to die
escaping.
And Harrison Ford's big joke was like, I guess dead Han toys won't sell too well. That was Lucas's whole focus. That's the whole thing of Jar Jar and
right.
It's just like the whole the
original script was that Lando was supposed to die in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the one that died. And then, basically when he rewrote the script and stuff, he wrote one version of it where Han Solo did fly that mission and Han Solo died. But Lucas isn't a son of a bitch like me. I'll kill anybody I think I'll get credits off of. I really don't care.
Government?
Oh yeah, I'm that guy. Totally. When I write, I could be like we got like the 1 out of 5 of us. Any one of us could be dead in the story right now.
Good to know.
And you're really pissing me off, Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Star Wars what?
The Star Wars Holiday Special. Have you guys ever seen that?
I've seen it.
No, unfortunately.
Oh.
It's great. Originally, the part that Art Carney plays was supposed to be the introduction of Lando Calrissian, because they introduced Boba Fett with the cartoon, and it was just been insane.
Yeah, that's the one where Boba Fett was introduced for the first time and actually named.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's true. Yeah.
So we mentioned the Han Solo origin movie. Let's go off on a tangent with that one. Who do you guys think would make a good young Han Solo?
Chris Pratt.
That's what I was thinking.
Because he's going to be Indiana Jones apparently, and he's charismatic and he's fun and he just doesn't take it too seriously. And if they find some young, up and comer nobody, I mean, it's a total crapshoot.
What about Clint Eastwood's son?
He is rumored.
I haven't looked at him.
I've only seen him in Fury, so beyond that, I don't know much.
I think over on Hello Greedo's channel, he had made a list of what was released of the actors that were kind of on the list for who was up for the part. And there was some of them you were like, oh God, no, not that person. And then, oh God, no. And then it was like Clint Eastwood's kid, and you were like, I don't know, maybe.
Well, here's the thing. There's always going to be, you're probably going to hate whoever they pick. Like, right. I'm still kind of worried about Batfleck. Like, Ben Affleck is Batman.
Yeah.
I do believe in the rule of twos, where Chris Evans was a terrible Johnny Storm, born for Captain America. Who was the other guy? Like Ryan Reynolds was terrible Green Lantern. Is going to be a great Deadpool. I have no doubt of that.
Right.
So Affleck will pull out something that we haven't seen in the previews. I mean, but yeah, we're always going to be finding something wrong with who they pick.
All I know is...
Well, you can make one thing for certain. If Affleck can do one thing, he will take credit for all the writing. Just like he will.
Well, let's not...
Into the goddamn Oscar is beyond me, because it was all Matt Damon.
Right. Well, let's not get too far into we'll save the discussion about Ben Affleck and Batman for another time. But Trace, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to talk about whatever.
Batfleck.
Well, go ahead. Throw it out there. I thought maybe you had something.
Well, the thing that I heard was the execs at Warner Brothers screened a rough cut of the movie, and they automatically signed Ben Affleck to a 3-picture solo deal for Batman.
Wow.
They were impressed.
Well, that could be good and bad, because sometimes executives have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, I love the DC television universe. I love The Flash. I love Arrow. I love Legends of Tomorrow, 2 episodes in.
Yep.
But the DC film lately has been kind of like Suicide Squad has no draw for me. I look at that and I'm like, oh, these guys want in on that Avengers money. That's why Will Smith's in this. He wants to be, an Avenger or whatever. Like,
the only reason why I want to...
Like they're trying too hard.
Mm.
The only reason why I want to watch that movie...
I agree with that, Kevin.
What was that, Trace?
I just want to see how this Jared Leto does the Joker.
Me too.
Yeah, that doesn't look exciting at all either.
I mean...
Well, a lot of people are sitting here and they're gauging the Joker on what Heath Ledger did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like he's under this microscope, this spotlight, almost, you better do better than him.
Oh, and who here, honestly, when they heard about Heath Ledger, didn't go, oh, but Jack Nicholson was the Joker.
Right.
Or Mark Hamill in the animated,
Right.
But we're talking about Star Wars. I just looked up Scott Eastwood on IMDb, and yeah, I could see him if the right hairstyle. So I could see him as young Han Solo. I don't think that would pull me out of it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what movie he was in with Clint, but he did a really good job in it. He was a believable character, and he acted really well. So I think he could work as a Han Solo.
Of course.
You talk about Scott Eastwood?
Yeah.
Fucking phenomenal actor. Clint Eastwood, I swear to God, should never have a DNA study done on that child because he looks just fucking like him.
I don't think that's in the cards unless, it's something you want to tell us. I like the way Scott Eastwood is uncredited on Suicide Squad.
Oh, is he?
Gone through IMDb while we're talking. I'm like,
Interesting.
I've actually seen that, Kevin. You're right.
man.
So keeping with Han's origin story, so where do you think do they start his story? Like when he's in the Empire or before that?
It should start off showing him in the Empire, like doing what he's told, kind of like what happened with with
Finn.
where all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute, we're the bad guys. Like, this isn't
This
cool.
is bullshit.
And
And
wait a
then
minute.
maybe cut like a couple of years later, and it does like Star's End or one of the Han Solo book stories, something along those lines that people
Or
love.
or before he stops being the Lone Star.
Lone Star. Come on. Oh well, real quickly, of course, we all are very happy that Mel Brooks is making a sequel to Spaceballs, but
The search for more money.
And he'll get it.
Yeah, he did it.
He joked about it during the original movie.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that's for the quote, the title.
God forbid we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2, the search for more money.
At least he's honest.
I like how the whole movie was taking stabs at the Star Wars merchandising nightmare that had came out of Jedi. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the toilet paper.
So, anybody got anything they want to throw out there with the Rogue Squadron movie?
I'm really hyped for that because that'll be our first movie where we see those Saving Private Ryan kind of large scale battles between the Empire and the Rebels.
Well, isn't the plot basically getting the plans for the Death Star to Princess Leia?
Yes.
Can I ask a question to you guys?
No.
What's Poe? The pilot Poe.
Yes.
And does anyone think that he's related to Wedge Antilles?
I do.
No, there's not enough about him to say. I don't think either way. I mean, he was barely in the movie.
I hope not, because I need it to be like everything in Star Wars, certain bloodlines.
I'm just puzzled how he got off of Jakku.
Yeah.
Right.
They never. All of a sudden, he was back with the squadron. I mean, I didn't.
The same way Boba Fett got out of the fucking Sarlacc pit.
I'm going to quote Hello Greedo on that one. That seemed like lazy storytelling there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was sit there and pick apart the plot and the story and stuff like Brad did and stuff like that, which he's an asshole for what he did. But, not going on the record as saying that, but I'm going on the record as saying that. You go to a movie, you watch the fucking movie. You don't sit there and try to pick it apart. You just enjoy the fucking movie.
Well, truth can be said of the prequels.
Everyone has to express their opinion.
If I was trying to find a plot hole and sit there and go, well, yeah, how the hell did he get out of there? Well, that's one of those things that more than likely with J.J. Abrams will be explained in the next movie.
Yeah. We know that Harrison Ford's going to be back in the next one, and it's probably going to be either a flashback or some kind of use like that. So
Solo Force Ghost.
That'd be funny.
It wasn't all mumbo jumbo. What am I doing?
Hey, wait a minute. What the hell?
Well, we know he's not going to be back as a Jedi ghost because he doesn't believe in those hokey fucking religions that kill him.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe Luke will learn how to basically call someone into existence and be like, "Hey, so you're dead."
A friend of
Hey, asshole.
one of my
Remember how you made fun of me on the Millennium Falcon?
Duke Ashlander, one of the guys that's watching tonight, he was telling me that he had read several pieces from several different sources that seemed to think that at some point in time, as part of the synopsis for the new trilogy, it was explained that once Luke is explained a little better, they're going to go into him trying to contain a Sith Lord that has been buried on that world he's on, or something to that effect. And that it takes all that he is to contain him, and that's why he hasn't been able to leave. And that he has to fight very hard to keep from being consumed by that Sith. So it does. It seems to fit the facts too. Why would he abandon his friends like that when he so quickly ran out of Dagobah to save him at Cloud City, completely unprepared? This is a more
Yeah.
experienced Luke. He wouldn't do that without a good reason.
Why would he ditch them all and leave little breadcrumbs? Like, here's the one little piece of the map.
Right.
Yeah.
They had the majority of the map, and then R2D2, which automatically woke up, had the rest of the map.
Yeah.
Well, one piece of the map BB-8 had. The rest of it R2 had.
Yeah.
Easy to
Well,
understand.
Poe found that map and uploaded to BB-8.
Yes.
And then once the map
But-
was ready to be assembled, R2 woke back up because he was needed.
Let's call a break here, guys. I'm about to piss down my leg.
All right, we can do that.
We'll survive without you.
Yeah, that'll work.
Or we can take 10 and all catch our
take
breath. Hey, let's give it 10.
That sounds good. Let's 10. It's 9:06. Let's get back here at 9:16.
All righty.
Okay.
We'll be right
Right.
back, guys.
Philly's gone.
All right, here we go. We're back.
All right, second half, Star Wars Force Awakens discussion. Where are we taking it at? Taking it now?
I don't know. I feel so much better after emptying a bladder. I'm good.
You don't feel that's contentious now?
One thing I wanted to touch on is how many people felt ripped off over Starkiller Base. This is the third Star Wars film with a giant planet-destroying device.
Well, if you think back, I mean, there's been lots of giant planet-killing weapons in Star Wars. I mean, they just went back to the well of what worked. I can't really fault them because this movie was a lot of building of new characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand Starkiller Base from a fundamental aspect because so it takes all the energy from the sun to fire, which puts out the sun. How many suns are in that system? Can Starkiller Base move like the Death Star to a new system and use that sun?
It is
It's not
mobile.
like a limited shot.
It is mobile. But
Okay, because it was just kind of like, oh well.
with
We're done.
that one star, I did get a chance to look at it's kind of like that deck plans that we had for Robotech, Rick, where it had all the different ships and how they were built and their specs and stuff. I did get to look at something like that for the Force Awakens, and it does describe some of the features of that, and it says it has multiple planet targeting capabilities from a single fire. So you could take out 8 worlds that you know your enemy's on, use one star to do it, and then move to another system.
How does it
Really
propel
explain
itself?
though, like, and of course I'm like, well, if they move the planet, will the atmosphere still stay? Will the people freeze
Right.
because they're not near a sun? Do they have to all go inside? I mean,
I would say that's why you have to go into that metallic structure that's around the equator, is that, you know, once you move away from a star, that's all, even the atmosphere would freeze.
yeah. This is what keeps me up at night.
Right. And of course, we have to, suspend any notion of reality as far as the whole physics behind, sucking all the energy from the sun and what that might do to the system that it actually exists in before they even have time to move out of the system.
Well,
Oh yeah, there's that classic argument about how the rebellion destroyed Endor by blowing up the Death Star because all the debris from the Death Star would planetfall and just wipe out the ecology of Endor. Everyone's sort of dancing.
Right.
Yeah, we gotta go.
yeah.
Sorry, teddy bears. You guys have
Right.
a fun adventure.
I mean, I understand. The suspension of disbelief. I get that, but anyways.
Well,
We're
it's
talking about a series where a guy can use mystical powers to choke people.
well, it is like me and Rick pointed out earlier when we were discussing before we got this rolling. It's that Star Wars isn't really sci-fi. Science fiction implies that they are borrowing from some factual items and kind of embellishing on that to do what Star Trek does. Star Wars is sci-fantasy. That's a completely different animal. That means you can have wizards mixed with lasers, mixed with starships, mixed with jungle worlds that have no technology at all, and have this Lord of the Rings in space kind of feel to it. It's just
No
a
Prime Directive.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
and
No, I get that. I'm totally cool with that because it's like, you're right. I mean, it's
they're two different sides of the same coin. They're both, futuristic space exploration, stuff like that. And some would argue that Star Wars takes place in the future because it says a long time ago. But they're two sides of the same coin. One is one way of approaching it, and one's a different way. So you have your Star Trek way where everything's rooted in physics and a lot in physics. We'll not say exactly because none of them are. You have to embellish on some of that crap or none of it would be possible.
Right.
But at least in Star Trek they try to address things through people that have already identified the issues with, like, breaking a person down into pieces, transmitting them, and then reassembling them. You know, they have Heisenberg compensators and things like that, and they say this device handles that problem. They just don't go into the details of how. Whereas Star Wars,
They do if you look hard enough.
Star Wars, though, they say here's a giant metal planet with more metal than the world has to offer that can blow up other worlds, and they don't really go into the details on it. They just say, have fun. And it's fun. Sometimes it's fun to lay the science off to the side and just have fun with the story.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think trying to get too Star Trek-like is what George did wrong with the prequels. He tried to explain every aspect of the Star Wars universe in 3 movies, and that's not going to happen and not be interesting. That's best saved for a companion book that you buy that's like deck plans for the ships, and one is the different worlds, and that's for the hardcore guys. And
did you guys ever hear Patton Oswalt's take on that? He's a comedian.
No.
Talking about how I'll send you guys a link. I am not about to butcher it.
Patton Oswalt's awesome. I love him. I love his character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Well, the gist of it is how he would, if he had the ability to go back in time, he would go back in time and kill George Lucas with a shovel before he could make the prequels. And yeah, I'm getting the link right now.
I told Rick earlier, I think the reason why George sold the Star Wars trilogy is he went, I've got to fix what I effed up. Because he looked in the mirror one day and went, yep, yeah, they're bad.
I think he basically looked at the zeros on the check and was like, yes. And then now he's having seller's remorse where he's like, they're not doing what I would do.
That sounds like him.
That was a very good impression.
He just sounds like someone that's like imagine creating something that everyone loves and then trying to improve upon it and everyone hates it. To someone else and everyone loves it again. Like, that's got to be a major blow to the ego. But,
right.
You know, $4 billion or whatever, it'll soften the blow for me. I mean,
no.
So when that happens, you won't have to worry about me crying about it.
Right.
As far as, like, George goes, I think he meant well with the prequels. I think he wanted to improve on a lot of things, and he thought CG was going to be the way to do it. But it was such a new technology when they were using it for almost everything. And it made it hard, and a lot of what they did wrong is why the movies that followed after, like Avatar and things like that, were done much better. He had to burn and screw up and crash for others to figure out, okay, that'll work, but we have to make the reactions of the human characters actually look like they're seeing what they're supposed to be seeing.
But that only goes so far. I mean, I don't care if there were no effects. Somebody's getting handled. I don't care if there were 0 special effects. If the story sucks, there's no saving it.
Yeah.
So I will always stand by the fact that the story in the prequels was just terrible.
I don't feel that any of the actors were bad per se in any of the prequels.
They didn't have a lot to work with.
I think the direction was bad, and that's why the actors looked so bad, because you see other stuff those actors have done, and it's fine. You look at Jake Lloyd's screen tests and stuff, and he looks okay. It doesn't look bad.
No.
But you watch him in the movie, and you're like, what the hell went wrong here? Or you look at Hayden Christensen and some of the other flicks and stuff he did, and then you look at that and you're like, wait a minute, something's not right here, something's not jiving. And then you have to take George off the pedestal and put him on the same ground as mortal men, and you go, oh, he screwed up. The direction was bad, so the actors acted incorrectly, and there was a whole host
The
of...
fundamental story was just all over the place.
Yeah, and
do you guys see the links I'm putting in the group chat?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put another one. There was this group called Red Letter Media, and they did a 90-minute review of The Phantom Menace and how terrible it was, and pointed out all these things that were wrong with it. and they eventually did all of the prequels. But that's like the gold standard of like laying out like why this sucks, why this sucks, why this sucks. I mean, by the third one, they're like, the reason there's no action is because they're on a green screen and everyone's sitting on a couch or walking. And it points out like what you're saying. There's fundamental limitations to the technology at the time, where sound stages are only so big.
Yeah.
And you can't have people running unless they're on a treadmill or something. But there's all sorts of technical limitations to overcome. But you get this weird sense that like everyone knew that the Phantom Menace was going to be terrible, that was working on it, but like no one had the balls to say to George Lucas like, "That's a terrible idea."
Well,
I guess Doug Chang, who was one of the concept guys, was one of the only ones that stood up to him, and he got fired.
I watched.
Eventually brought him back for Force Awakens, but
I watched a couple of things where there were several little videos where people have recorded like George talking to a guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I think that'll be a good idea," and the other guy's like, "Yeah, that's a great idea," and George is like, "Yeah, it's a great idea," and it goes back and forth like 5 times. They're going, "Yeah, it's a good idea." "Oh yes," and it's like
each other.
As the guy walks away, he's going like this, wiping the shit off his face from sticking his nose up his ass.
Yeah, because I mean, it's got to have been to a point where it's like, holy shit, I'm working on Star Wars.
Yeah.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
I'm
Instead
not
of
gonna be the one to tell him that's a terrible idea. I'm not getting banned from the ranch like those guys, you know, like.
Right.
But a lot of what made the first 3 movies, you know, Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi so good was that he did have to fight for the stuff that was worth fighting for, and the dumb shit got filtered out. If you ever see some of the deleted scenes from Empire and Jedi, you go, yeah, that belongs on the cutting room floor. That was bad.
Well, and also he didn't direct them.
You know, you got to take into consideration this too. The one movie that he directed was Star Wars.
Yeah.
The other 2 he did not. So you had Lawrence Kasdan making Empire Strikes Back, which turned out to be probably one of the better movies. You know, amongst the Star geeks and stuff like that, sitting there talking about, you know, which movie was the best, You know, to quote Clerks, you know, it ended on a down note, you know. So, you know, really, the fact that Lawrence Kasdan, when I heard that he had something to do with the new movie, I was like, oh, shit, that's great.
Yeah, I know.
God.
As soon as I heard Disney had it, I was like...
We don't have to worry about Muppets and fucking Jar Jar Binks.
Well, you know, when I first heard Disney got it, there was that moment of, holy shit. And then I thought about it for about a week, and then I reanalyzed it, and I went, yeah, they're about the only company with enough money to pull off a Star Wars. With enough resources, manpowers, directors, and actors, and the whole host of stuff. They got great animators, so if they want to do practical matte paintings, they got the best in the world. I mean, they're the only company that could have done it, and they did it. Force Awakens is proof of it. It's flaws considered. Force Awakens feels like you went 2 years later or 3 years later from Jedi and watched the next Star Wars movie. It doesn't feel like it's 30 years out.
I'm going to be completely honest here, you know, and just open myself up to vulnerability. I would rather...
Did you kill someone in that murder basement behind you? Are you wearing skin?
I would rather see Goofy as the goddamn Emperor than what Phantom Menace was.
I don't think you get...
I think the Phantom Menace is like one of the worst things that could happen because you watch the trailers.
I will shock you with my electricity.
I think the word...
There's that theory that Jar Jar is really the Phantom Menace. He's a Sith Lord.
Right. I've heard
Everything, which would be hilarious.
Me and Rick talked about that earlier.
Think about this. Think about what I said, and just think about Darth Vader picking up the Emperor as Goofy and throwing him down that chasm.
Yeah, with what we were all talking about earlier, me and Rick, is that we had heard about that Jar Jar Binks whole concept, and that would have took some of the sting out of the prequels for me to find out something like that, because then you could go, okay, I can justify stupidity.
Or like, yeah.
I think that whoever came up with that idea that first theorized on that they should be killed. They should be castrated to make sure that they never reproduce. I mean, my God.
It was me.
I've
I've already reproduced.
A person.
Well, that's why they call them fan theories. I mean, there's the whole theory that Rey is Ben Kenobi's, illegitimate love child.
I think
that she was left on Jakku for her safety. Basically, that's like the Star Wars thing. Like, ooh, I don't want my kids to get this, so I'm going to give them a terrible, terrible life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to abandon them somewhere and have a crazy old man. Like, if you look closely in The Force Awakens, when she's having her flashback and going, no, as a little kid, the fish dude's holding her hand.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, buddy, like, I've heard rumors that he'll be back, because the cool part is that guy, Unkar Plutt, was played by Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg. Shaun of the Dead.
He's the man.
Yes.
I loved when the Star Trek the Star Trek, the new trailer came out, and he was like, "Oh, it's much better than that. The trailer just sucks." Totally own it. Please give it a chance. Like, guys, I'm a nerd too. I love this stuff.
I had heard rumor that Simon had not necessarily a direct hand, but some hand in what went on with some of the writing and rewriting that went on with The Force Awakens. I don't know if there's any truth behind it. But being
I wouldn't put it past him. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's a great writer, and he's a fanboy too, so you can't think of anybody better to trust with saying, hey, maybe this is a little better way of doing things.
Like, I love zombies, and the first time I saw Shaun of the Dead, I was like, fuck, I should have thought of that. That's brilliant. Damn it. Like, it's so good. It hits all the right notes. And then,
Yeah, believe it or not, I didn't want to watch Shaun of the Dead at all. When someone first told me the title of that movie, I was like, that kind of sounds dumb. But then I finally watched it, like, I'm sorry I waited this long.
Exactly. Well said, Rick. Well said.
I met him.
It was, you watch and you go, holy shit, why didn't I watch this sooner?
Yeah. Well, I met him in San Francisco at a screening of it before it came out. It was like a test screening. And I met him and Edgar Wright, and I had already seen it illegally. So I came up and I was like asking him questions, and they're like, "How do you know about this?" And I was like, "I was at a friend's house, and you guys are the best." But it was like, my big question was, are you going to make a sequel and call it Ivana the Dead? Because his friend Yvonne that they run across that has the exact opposite of people.
Yeah.
I want to see their story.
Right.
And then that scene where they run into them.
Yeah.
And then their story goes off in the end, and then she comes back at the end. And so it's like I want a second film of that, and like it would be totally like different, but all the classic Edgar Wright like this guy, you know?
Well, actually, the ultimate sequel of that movie would be Shaun of Zombieland.
No. I'm calling you out. You're wrong. Zombieland just was like it was good at the time, but looking back, if it didn't have Bill Murray, I don't know. It was okay, but
it's one of them that
do you have any regrets?
I'm a huge zombie fan, and I don't like. I even call Romero out on stuff when he was doing Land of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
They have guys like with Walkmans in a zombie apocalypse jamming on skateboards and not paying attention. I'm like, no, that would not happen. Like, I'm shaking my fist in the theater, like, what are you doing? Like a zombie's on an electrified fence getting shot, and some girl empties a clip of her M16 into it, and I'm like, no, Everyone would be headshot masters. You'd be conserving ammo. What is going on? Like those all became about the goofs and the gags, and
Yeah.
and then he's fishing and he pulls up a zombie and it bites him.
I'll tell you, one of the greatest memories that I've got is my brother and I, we had this friend that knew our dad. He worked with him on the police force and stuff like that, named Todd. And they had remade Night of the Living Dead back in the
I remember this.
80s. Yeah, and we went and fucking saw it in the theater. Keith Albee.
Tom Savini directed that.
Yeah. And I remember watching that, because I thought it was so funny because it looked so stupid when the guy tripped and fell and that he, if you're going to die with a smile or die with style. This guy trips and falls in a gravestone and it cracks his cheek and it kills him.
Well, it does more than that. They body slam that dummy. His head. I love that movie and I hated it and I loved it again. Tom Savini was originally going to work on Vietnam, and that's when he became a combat photographer, and that's why all the gore is so good in like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Friday the 13th, like that. He was always. I met him once, and he was complaining about how he regretted not being able to work on the original, but all this other stuff happened, and eventually it worked out. But. And you'll hear me name drop a lot. I met a lot of people in my life.
Right on.
So it's not bullshit.
Well, we kind of got off the subject here. Rick, do you have a different topic for us?
Oh yeah, let's get back to Star Wars while we're here.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the other controversies, holes. Well, maybe we could just speculate about where we think the directions of the next two movies, or even the companion movies, are going to go. I mean, we've got what's Rogue. So we briefly talked about Rogue Squadron. So let's get back to that since it's the next one coming out. So
I don't
this
know
is the
about
movie.
that one. I'm kind of ambivalent because Gary Whitta, who wrote I've met him. I worked at a video game company called Backbone, and we did a game called Death Junior and Death Junior 2, and he wrote the comic book of that, and that's when I met him, and then he went and he made the Book of Eli, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
And then he wrote, I think the next one was After Earth, which the movie was terrible, but I found out that the original story that he wrote was a father and son on a single-engine plane crash in Alaska, and the dad's messed up, and the kid has to go and become a man and save his father. And then I guess Will Smith took it and added all the space stuff to it and changed it around. So I kind of have hope that this is going to be really, really well written. And from what I've seen, like there's that one shot of all the characters in front of an X-wing, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. It's like it's the Batfleck thing all over again. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give the creators the benefit of the doubt to make it awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of fanboys don't do. A lot of times is they want to criticize before they even see the first roll of the film. Now, like with Phantom Menace, it took a while for it to sink in because we were so hungry for a Star Wars film. Everybody walked out pretty, chipper because of the end fight was so wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when everybody come out of it, it seemed like after about 2 or 3 weeks later, it started going, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a minute.
And then you watch it a second or a third time, and you're going, this shit ain't holding up well. I feel like I'm watching a kid movie. What the hell's wrong with this?
Trick wore off.
Yeah, it's the fanboy drunkenness.
I'm living proof that you can break out of being that guy, that fanboy, like Sega versus Genesis or PlayStation versus Xbox, like pumping up your chest, like no, Xbox is better because of this and this and this, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like people complain about Affleck.
Right.
The company's going to do what they're going to do. Go pay your money or vote with your wallet and don't.
Yeah.
There are compliments to both. There are, you've got this on the Xbox, you got this on the PlayStation, you got this on the PlayStation, you got this on the Xbox. But I think that the truth of the matter is, if you evaluate the way this movie ended, The Force Awakens, and we
Yeah.
don't know what the next.
It ended like Empire, where, okay, so they're going off to do this thing, and it's total cliffhanger, which is awesome, because
I love it.
watching The Force Awakens, I was like, how many years am I have to wait for this? Oh, come on. Like,
I was
put me in a coma so I can wake up and binge watch all three of them.
Yeah, really, right? Well, I think the one thing that we're going to be really let down on is we're not going to have any questions answered on the next movie. There's going to be more.
I do. I foresee that as well.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I hope they leave us wanting more.
Right.
That's what they should be doing. We should be like some movies you walk out and you're like, okay, well, everything was answered. I've never watched it again. I have no reason to talk about it because everything was explained. Like, that's always my goal when I create something like a game or whatever. It's like I want people to, I want to create something that incites debate.
Yes.
Where people are like, oh, no, you're wrong. This is what happened.
Well,
here's the facts that they lay out, and someone else go, no. This is what happened. I mean.
Well, that's like with us discussing like Rey's lineage or Finn's background and stuff like that. We wouldn't be having these conversations if it wasn't done right, because nobody give a shit. We actually care about these characters because they did do a good job.
The truth of the matter is, we're all wrong.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Grace, what do you think, man?
But it's fun talking about it, though.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, so let Trace chime in on that.
No, it's fun to talk about. It's fun to speculate on all this stuff. I mean, I came out of the Phantom Menace thinking, okay, he just took this movie to set everything up for the next two, and I guess I was hopeful,
Yeah.
that it would get better,
A lot of people disagree with me, but I do feel like as the prequels went on, they did improve a little bit. I mean, by no means are they up above, but I think by the final fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, I think that I kind of felt like that's the battle I'd envisioned, with them being younger and more adept.
Well, it just went on way too long.
Yeah.
There was no tension. There was like, and then of course you're like, oh, they're floating on lava. I've been near lava. It's very hot and lots of noxious gases, and one of them is just going to pass out and just fall into it or something. But there's another video I have to link to you guys. It's a great video that has the original scene from Star Wars where Ben is telling Luke about his father, and then it intercuts with him like cutting his arms and legs off and catching him on fire. Because he's all like wistful, like he was a good friend. Like, what happened to him? Oh, well, yeah. No, I didn't put him out of danger.
I think that if there was ever a moment built up to that was, like, okay, obviously this is going to happen. This is going to come down to this and stuff. That's the one thing Lucas did right in the prequels, was that scene building up to Anakin, even though the dialogue was juvenile at best, but sitting there and going to that point where they you knew from day one this was going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader was going to battle each other. You knew that. We knew that.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, okay, well, I already know what's going to happen because he becomes Darth Vader.
Yeah, and see, that's a lot of what...
And we knew that going into it. So I think, with the anticipation of talking about that, Lucas was given a pretty big challenge to say, yeah, I've been doing this, for a long time. How the fuck am I going to do that?
Yeah.
You know, so, my hat's off to him because, he kind of pulled it off in good form. I remember my brother and I went, and it was the only time we ever had watched a Star Wars movie away from the Keys out in the theater here in Huntington. We went to Pullman Square, and we watched the movie together. It was the midnight showing, stuff like that. We walked down to the and my brother looked at me and goes, "Damn, that was sad." I said, "Well, do you expect episode 3 to end happy? Holy shit, Anakin becomes Darth Vader. We know, that's what I tried to drive forward to everybody that was ever watching the first 3 episodes. Do you expect the happy ending? Go shoot yourself in the mouth because you're going to be depressed when it's all over. It's not going to happen. It's not going to end happy. It's not going to end with Ewoks sitting there throwing up fireworks at the fucking end or anything like that. It is sad. It is dark. It is bleak. It is Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader."
And see, that's why I was let down a little bit. I expected this road to be more of a deterioration than it was. It was like within the episode 3, all the deterioration in everything that was the Republic happens in one movie. In the last 30 minutes of it. And that should have been a longer process over several movies in the background of the story between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Not Anakin at 7 years old for a wasted film. And Darth Maul could have been around for the whole series too and been a much more interesting bad guy.
Oh, I think that Kevin, I know you've created a lot of games and stuff like that, so chime in if you want to. But I think that if I was going to redirect it and do the prequels again, I would have Jake Lloyd fired for one goddamn thing. And I would the first one would be Anakin. Episode 2 turns into Darth Vader, and episode 3 being Darth Vader is Darth fucking Vader trying to track down the Jedi and destroy them. The transition from episode 3 to episode 4. Not leaving this big, huge fucking gap going, well...
Yeah, but the whole point of the prequels is to get Anakin in the Darth Vader costume.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And Lucas is like, done.
Yep. But
screw Darth Maul, who you saw for 5 minutes in the first movie, so it was cool, like all the coolest characters seem to get dumped in the Starlight.
Boba Fett, Darth Maul, IG-88.
Yeah, I don't know.
As far as the bounty hunters go, I'm sure most everybody here is going to say Boba Fett.
Well, he didn't really do anything. He just looked really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had 3 lines in 2 movies.
Yeah.
But now he gets his own movie.
Yep.
The bad part is Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, the CGI one had, which is canon, had a more interesting character in it called Cad Bane, and he was probably one of the coolest Star Wars bounty hunters, period.
We've had a few of those tonight.
Oh, God. Not to mention the Matrix.
No, well, let's stop there before we get off on another tangent.
Yeah.
Please. Don't get me on Revolutions. I swear to God, I'll fucking put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger.
I've never heard of that. I know they made a first one, but I think they stopped, right?
Right.
They made a first one, and then an animated one, and that was it.
Right.
And then with the Star Wars, as far as the animated goes, they're on the Rebels, which is really good so far. I wish Disney would approach it a little more seriously like they did with the Clone Wars, because they had a little more of a darker tone to it. and it should be more darker in Rebels because of the time frame it takes place in is right prior to Star Wars. So they haven't got the plans yet. It's just prior to Rogue Squadron or whatever that new movie is coming out.
Well, the thing about it is, though, they kind of delved on that idea, with, Dark Trooper. The video game, the Kyle Katarn, or not Kyle Katarn, but, Kyle Katarn.
Yeah.
Dark Forces. Yeah.
The green one or the green one? I just brought the green one.
I'm cutting myself off. But anyway, he goes in there and he's the one that steals the plans for the Death Star and stuff like that. They gotta roll with that. That's a perfect story. Why create other characters?
Well, it's a part of that falls now in the void that is the Legends banner. Kyle Katarn, heir to the Empire, all that's been. Now
and
there's.
That is J.J. Abrams' own fucking bullshit arrogance. And he ought to just take that, roll it up nice and tight, and put it up his ass.
I was never a big fan of the EU, so it doesn't affect me. Now, some of this newer stuff I'm seeing seems to fit better than some of the EU stuff did.
The EU, fucking uses fucking acronym. The
Universe.
Universe or whatever is perfect. It made sense, with Vice Admiral Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, the end of the Empire through the clone of the Emperor and stuff like that. Luke going to the dark side, which is what everybody thought was going to happen. Everybody thought that Kylo Ren was Skywalker.
Yeah, that was the big to-do.
Whole ordeal and stuff like that.
I got a question.
Of Mark Hamill holding up fucking Kylo Ren.
I got a question. Chill, Jake. I got a question. What expanded universe characters would you guys like to see? I'd like to see. Yes, I'd like to see Vice Admiral or Grand Admiral Thrawn in this somewhere.
I don't know enough about the extended universe to even say.
Dash Rendar.
I'd say Vice Admiral Thrawn, and that's probably because he's one of them I know the most about, but he just seemed like he had no force powers. He was just a brilliant commander, and who was one of the few non-human. He was one of the few non-human races that the Empire even allowed to hold the rank of admiral.
Do you know what made him so deadly as a commander?
No.
It's these beings that absorbed the Force. So as long as he kept these people at his side, if Luke Skywalker were coming in and try to, God forbid, give him the, Vulcan neck pinch or the Force crush on his throat, it wouldn't work because they absorbed the Force. And Grand Admiral Thrawn found these beings. I can't remember what their actual species name is or anything like that, but he found these beings, and that's how he got to Luke.
I'd actually like to see him touch more on Maz Kanata in the next one too.
Yeah, she knows what something's going on.
Yeah. You can just tell by the way she talked throughout her little bit in this one that she knows more than she's letting on.
My advice to her is next time she has a super secret base that only smugglers know about, don't make a giant temple with a giant statue of yourself outside.
Yeah, that's like shoot.
Well, and I tell you, I can't remember his name or anything like that, but she looks an awful lot like an old Jedi that is in The Force Unleashed.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And Rick, he's play the game.
Yeah, maybe I'll get around to it.
Well, quit picking your nose and play the fucking game.
Yeah, they were okay. The opening cinematics were much better. The actual gameplay was kind of frustrating.
I thought the gameplay was actually very fluent. And, once you got used to it and stuff like that, the ability, because Star Killer is just that much more of a Jedi or dark side or what the fuck ever than Darth Vader ever hoped to be.
Trace, you got any hopes for the next movies? Hope any answers, questions answered? I mean,
I think they're going to answer some, and they're going to raise, like you guys said, raise even more. And they're going to make us want to. Because I was sitting there, the credits were rolling, and I said, "I'm ready to put the next episode in," and I couldn't.
right?
I think Kevin said, "You mean I got to wait?" Now they delayed it 7 months. Now I guess was it this week or last?
2017 is going to be out now.
Really?
Yeah.
Missed that.
So I'm December. Yeah, I mean I'm just like, I have to wait that long.
Right. Well, I mean,
Sorry about that, Trace. Brad just chatted in there and said, "Wake up, Rick."
I mean, we're still going to have the Rogue Squadron movie. Does anybody know the actual name of that movie?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, that'll help a little bit.
But it's still
right.
too long. Like,
yeah.
Ooh, Brad. I've got
this Walking Dead thing where they go, "Here's the mid-season finale. See you in 6 months, suckers." And then you're like,
right.
"Oh man!" And then,
shit, Game of Thrones. Oh my God. Wait for it.
I almost canceled my HBO Now subscription just because True Detective sucked and Game of Thrones wasn't on. I'm like, ugh.
Hey, this just in. It appears the reason why it was delayed was due to a strike. And that makes it makes complete sense. I mean, the film industry is constantly suffering issues like that.
Who's striking?
Didn't get the details on exactly who. With lighting and grips in Europe.
Oh.
Jerks.
Well,
Gotta get my nerd rage on,
Well, we're getting to be up here on 2 hours. Are we gonna either want to wrap this up or keep going, or what do you want to do?
Geez, guys, we could sit here and make 8 hours out of this if we really wanted to. We could sit here and hypothesize on every aspect of Star Wars. It could be all night. Brad just said, "God damn it, I just got here."
I'm kind of read a clock, anyways.
Well, Rick, what I was going to say is let's pick one last topic. Let's expound on it and see where it takes us.
You got something in mind?
No, I don't. That's why you're the mediator.
Whatever.
I have a suggestion for future things of this. That we all agree on a topic and prepare for it, and that way, I'm guilty of taking us off on tangents. So if I do that in the future, just say rein me in. So
right.
It's so easy to do though when you get talking about one that you're passionate on.
About, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this then. I mean, are we done with The Force Awakens and Star Wars, and then we want to move on to a new topic for the next time we do this, or do we want to keep on with our discussion of Episode 7 and then the Star Wars universe at large?
Then we should keep on going with Episode 7.
Can I just ask a question? Has anybody seen the new Star Trek trailer?
Yes.
Terrible.
It looks like Star Wars.
Was anybody more fucking bored with a goddamn trailer than I was?
What, you don't want to see Fast and the Furious in space?
Hey, Rick, I got
Too fast,
Oh my
too track.
God. So we do
Somebody said it sucks donkeys.
In the darkness, and then we go like you said, Kevin, the Fast and the Furious with a fucking Enterprise. What
Well,
the fuck?
the director of the Fast and Furious 7, Justin Lin, is directing the new Star Trek movie. So
He's
they
all,
think that's what people want. They're like, oh, it's this director, but it's Star Trek. And it's like, no, Star Trek is anything but action. If you watch the old show, it'll bore you to tears in some of them, where they're like trying to desperately save a planet from a disease, and it's just McCoy looking at things going up and down on a monitor.
Right.
yeah.
And it's like hard science, and they're like, well, people don't want to see that. They want to see jumps and skydives and planetary destruction.
True. And
I realize my head looks like the chick out of the first Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Thanks for
Looks like
sharing that with us.
Andrew Nicole Smith.
Okay, so one last topic.
give me just a sec.
Who's got what?
Hang
What's
on.
that? No, to my understanding, it was just to moderate this. It was not to actually come up with the content of discussion.
Rogue One.
Politically correct to the end.
Rogue One,
Kylo
okay.
Ren's lightsaber. Would you use it or not?
Hell no. That thing looks like it's about ready to blow up. If you're talking about Kylo's.
Well,
Yeah.
it uses the cracked kyber crystal, and that's hence gives a serrated edge, which matches his personality. I wonder if later on in the trilogy, if it becomes more of a honed edge as he begins to learn to control himself
Yeah.
and not just go all aggro on things.
Yes.
I did like all the little touches in the movie where like he was having his tantrum, and the two stormtroopers were like, "Nope." And they just
yeah, they was like, the hell with this noise.
Did you all see the Saturday Night Live skit with him being undercover boss?
yeah, people have already made action figures based off it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm Matt, the
Pretty
radar
sure that's
tech.
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, when did you know? I think I knew when you said, "Hi, my name is Matt."
Sorry I killed your son, Kylo Ren.
That's every undercover boss. It's like, wow, that guy looks just like the boss. I wonder. And there's all these cameras around. What could be?
It would be like if Bane fucking showed up, and oh, I'm here to make sure the job is done
That'd
wrong.
be pretty entertaining, like an undercover boss of like supervillains.
The
Which
Joker.
basically is what the Starkiller base one was. But imagine like the Monarch from the Venture Brothers, the Joker, Mr. Freeze. Like, well, it's like Mr. Freeze in his outfit with the dome helmet, but like a wig,
But like a
and, like clothes like pulled over his environmental suit.
Hello, I'm here to be the janitor. How can I help you today? I'm here to mop. Everything I touch freezes.
I really learned a lot. And
there we go.
What?
Hey, look, a prick joint.
Right here at the end.
Oh,
still
shit.
I like that his picture is a glamour shot.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
like
there we
that,
man?
go. There we go. Better.
I'm gonna impersonate Brad's picture.
Right?
Well, I guess we're done. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Click.
He's like,
Story-
No, wait.
Story of my life.
Day late and a dollar short.
They get the Oscars when they start playing the music. He's like, wait, I just got here.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You realize, Brad, that we're all on the fucking East Coast and we're on the same goddamn time zone, so.
Well, I'm on the East Coast, dude.
I'm fucking late.
I'm in my house at North Carolina, dude. Calm down.
I know. Same time zone. We've been here for 2 hours.
He's in the
2
northern.
fucking hours.
I'm starting to get chafing. I can't sit still.
I've only been back from Oregon for the past month or two. I'm still on Oregon time, so.
Ugh. I hate that crap. When I'd fly back here from LA, it's like you were in a Twilight Zone or something. You'd wake up and like walk around and just like
You know how much money I
caffeine.
lost on fucking Oregon 4 years ago when they went to the goddamn national championship for fucking college football? Fuck you, fuck Oregon, fuck everybody.
Can we talk about Star Wars now?
Yes.
Actually, I was going to bring up Gary was on this promo with the hat and the headset.
Goddamn duck.
What was that? I didn't hear.
Gary looks like he should be on
Goddamn duck.
from Alien.
Yeah, he does actually. He does.
Yeah.
The bad part is it doesn't even show up. This shirt's actually an Avenger shirt.
Oh, the hat is what it looks like. You look like Harry Dean Stanton.
Exactly. So were you guys going to talk about Rogue One, or is that next time?
We did a little bit, but is there anything you'd like to talk about since you just got here? And that's all the time.
I want to see. I want to see a lot more of that than the Force Awakens. I mean, to be quite honest, because I want to go back. I want to see who are they going to include. I mean, we know Dave. Well, we don't know Dave Prowse, but is going to be playing Darth Vader. But we know that that they've already signed up. What's his name for the voice? You know, so
James.
Yeah, that's all you need. You need a big guy in a Vader costume. And James Earl Jones. I mean,
I would like to see David Prowse come back as the body, but he's kind of getting up there.
Old, man.
he's like 90 years old.
Yeah, what's he gonna do?
This is supposed to be a younger Darth Vader slumped over like this, going, "Where's my coffee?
Well, when I'm at Dave
Who are
Prowse,
you?"
Probably like 20 years ago, he has a severe arthritic affliction that is basically crippling him.
Yeah, from
and I can understand because
from lifting weights all these.
I suffer from the same thing, you know, from my size and stuff like that. You know, I'm the same height of Dave Prowse, same weight pretty much and stuff, but you know, it's a crippling joint disease, and he has it. And, you know, because I walked up to him and I was like, "Yeah, Mr. Prowse, you know, it's so great to talk to you and stuff. You know, how do you feel about, you know, you're Darth Vader? Everybody knows that, but everybody thinks James Earl Jones is Darth Vader." And he just kind of leaned back and goes,
This just in. This is a picture of Maz Kanata. Rebecca just brought that in and handed it to me and said, "Here's Maz."
So yeah.
But David Prowse goes, well, you know, I'll tell you, I'm super huge friends with Lou Ferrigno. You know who Lou Ferrigno is? And I was like, yeah, you bro fucking Hulk.
Exactly, the Green Hulk.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I know who Lou Ferrigno is. And he goes, well, you know, I go to dinner with Lou Ferrigno all the time. And do you know how many people pester the shit out of me for autographs and stuff like that, Bonner? I said, I have no idea. He said, none.
I think next
Do you know
time.
how many people pester the shit? Do you know how many people pester the shit out of Lou Ferrigno to get his autograph? He said, everybody walks by. Oh my God, you're the Incredible Hulk. He said, I am Darth Vader. I don't have to worry about my dinner being interrupted. I know that in my head.
That is a good point.
I am Darth Vader. And that is exactly why he signed my Darth Vader Star Wars figure as David Prowse is Darth Vader. And that's how he autographed everything.
He's just glad he didn't have to go, no.
Like the melted mask that Kylo Ren has.
My
Say that again, Kevin.
I'm worried that if he shows up on film, he's going to look like the melted masks.
Oh, God.
He talk like this, like he has stuck or something.
Hey, I'll tell you something funny.
Something happened at the barbecue.
My wife went to take markers away from my youngest daughter, and she sat through all 6 movies with me just before Force Awakens. And she took the markers away, and she goes, "You can't play with these. You're going to make a mess with them," and puts them up. And she holds both hands up and goes, "No!" And that's her thing she does now when he takes something away from her. I was like, of all the things to take away from the Star Wars films, you had to take away the one added in thing that...
I'm punishing you because I love you. We got to stop this.
Yeah,
Next thing she'll start talking like Jar Jar and really piss you off. Thanks, I love you, Daddy.
It just proves the reason of why I didn't want more kids. No.
What all do you know about Rogue One so far, besides James Earl Jones being in it? Because I know next to nothing about it other than the initial cast that I've seen in the photographs.
Me or who?
You.
Oh, me.
Johnny come lately?
Yeah, I I know a couple people who are working on it, but I don't.
We're tired of our voices, so we want to hear yours.
Yeah, I'm sure. Rick, shut up, man. No, I'm kidding.
Now Trace is the one you got to keep quiet. He ain't saying but 10 words.
Trace is Charlie Chatterbox over there.
You can't shut the fuck up. You can't shut him the fuck up.
I don't know too much about Rogue One other than just the simple fact that a lot of the look that they're going for is going back to the original. You know, like episode, New Hope, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know anything about the story.
Well,
but I'm more interested.
One thing I said, Brad, was the fact that I think that Poe is, I'm sorry, just definitely related to Wedge Antilles.
Sadly, Dennis Lawton didn't want to be a part of it because he said, "Sure, I'll do it. Pay me this much." And they said, "No, thank you," because that was the biggest thing. I was like, "Where's Wedge? He should be a part of the, the rebellion or the resistance or whatever. Where's he?"
Oh yeah, totally.
He survived 2 Death Stars.
Right.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah,
I want to
show you whether you're a Jedi.
I guess he tried to pull the whole, "Don't you know who I am?" And they're like, "Yeah, we know you are, but we're not going to pay you."
Well, just goes to show
He obviously wanted
whether you're a Jedi, a Sith, whether you're a Jedi, a Sith, or Rogue Squadron, a TIE fighter pilot, you can be bought.
Okay. Well, anyway, who else would you like to see or think should have reappear in Rogue One? I mean, it's a whole story. The whole story revolves
Supposedly
about.
it takes place before Episode 4, the original Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
About them stealing the plans, but you can't really I'd be like, "Oh, let's see Greedo or something," but it doesn't fit into this timeline.
Yeah, but how can you actually?
I would like to
Grand Moff Tarkin. Grand Moff Tarkin was he was more of the guy who was
governor
control and overseeing the building of the Death Star. So I'm wondering how they're going to play that off because the guy's dead. So how can we? He'd be 100 and some years old. So how can we ever?
Brad, have you seen any of the Star Wars Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels series yet?
No, I
watched a little bit of the Rebels, and they introduced Grand Moff Tarkin in the Clone Wars as a very young man, and he's like in the Rebel, or he's with the I guess what became the Rebel Alliance. He's with them originally, and then when the Emperor activates Order 66, he goes to the Emperor. And it's kind of funny because they show him and Anakin starting to build a friendship during that animated series, and then later on he becomes Grand Moff Tarkin, and you're like, oh, I get that. It's kind of a nice little tie-in.
You do know what the title Grand Moff means, right?
It's almost like a governor or something like that, isn't it?
Testify.
Exactly. So when he's in Star Wars, and he says the Emperor has dissolved the Senate, and it will fall down to the governors and stuff like that. He is the supreme governor, so to speak, because he's the one that's over the Death Star. He's the motherfucker, So, but
well, if you remember, he orders Vader to do things, and Vader obeys those commands. I would actually like to see some younger version of Grand Moff Tarkin in.
But take this in mind, and that's a good point, Bubby. It really is, man. But I want you to take into consideration this: once Grand Moff Tarkin was gone, Vader was a loose cannon.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked in the first Star Wars where he looks to Vader right in the beginning. He goes, "Oh, she'll die before she tells you." Like just talking to him, like, "Oh yeah, we work together." Not like, "Ooh, you're Darth Vader," and like people are like conversing with him and like talking to him, like, "Oh yeah, you're a normal dude. You're just in space armor."
I wondered because Grand Moff Tarkin he got a lot of respect from Darth Vader, and it was like, okay, how much power did Grand Moff Tarkin have that Darth Vader was actually going, okay, cool, you're on the same level as me?
Well, that was going to be my next question. Here's a theoretical question I'm going to ask everybody and stuff like that. So, chime in. Let me ask it first.
No.
Do you think that in Empire Strikes Back that Grand Moff Tarkin would have ordered anyone, Star Destroyer, TIE Fighter, TIE Bomber, whatever, to go into that asteroid field? Or was it just Darth Vader that was hard on to get loose? I don't think that Grand Moff Tarkin, being the genius he was, as far as, despite his arrogance, getting blown up on the fucking car.
See, that's why I like the Clone Wars depiction of Tarkin, because he was always a very he carried himself just like he did in Star Wars. He was like, no, we'll let them walk into that. Then when they're tied up dealing with that problem, we'll come in and hit them from the flank and tear them down. And that's when Anakin kind of looked at him and goes, that's a brilliant idea. And you can kind of see the respect coming from orders he issues or recommendations he makes are very effective at accomplishing what they're trying to do. So he sees the strategist in him and the intelligence and the intellect that he has. I guess that's the same thing, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Well,
and you get to see that relationship develop over the last season of that series. And it's kind of cool to see.
But, the question was, with Grand Moff Tarkin gone into the asteroid field, like Darth Vader did in The Empire Strikes Back, would he have sacrificed the Imperial fucking Star Destroyer, the Death Star, what the fuck ever? Would he have sacrificed that like Darth Vader did going after the Millennium Falcon?
No, he would have just surrounded the asteroid field and waited for him.
I guess we'll see more about Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. To be quite honest, I mean, we'll see more about him and how, if he's even in the movie, which I hope he is.
I do too.
Because if it surrounds just the crew, the rebels that are stealing the plans, if it just surrounds them the whole time and not really the much of the build up of the Empire, then
the one group of people that are working on it that are like the writer and the director and a couple of the others that we're talking about that I'd seen, they kind of acted like it was going to be a Saving Private Ryan with Star Wars, almost like large-scale battles between the Imperial and the Rebel Alliance, whether it was on ground or in the air.
Bodies blowing up.
Yeah, it was going to be...
Boston's dying.
Yes, exactly.
So basically what you're saying is it's a bunch of brothers.
I mean, let's really answer my question. What the fuck?
What's that?
So
They
I
just
asked
did.
the
They said no.
everybody just dodged it. I said, I might as well have asked a question about abortion or something like that.
Well, they answered your question.
Would
Everyone said no.
have Grandma Tarkin done the same thing? No. My
Yeah,
thing is, no, he wouldn't have.
Gary answered your question,
Would have.
man.
I answered it twice, actually.
Everybody's talking at the same time and stuff.
I just think
But
it. Yeah,
I
I think
like
the answer.
Rick's idea.
I thought the answer was, would he have done it? No, but then again,
Well, if you want,
go read his fan fiction. That
So
he
he's
just
the Bernie Sanders of political aspect.
hey,
Wait a minute.
Jacob, if you're going to ask a question and want people to answer, how about you shut up and let others?
That's how you moderate.
Rick, you are now the moderator, buddy.
There you go.
So, Kevin, what were you saying?
Here, let go. Let go. Let go. Hang on. Don't touch anything. I gotta get it fixed.
I actually made that for you.
There we go.
For orders, but then in Empire, he's out of the picture, and it's then the Emperor who's
I made this
giving
for
him the
you.
orders. So
This way I
if he had lived through the Death Star's destruction, would the Emperor have told him you need to listen to Vader's decision, or the other way around?
Well, the Emperor was in the picture because the end of Episode 3, it's Vader and Tarkin standing there watching over the creation of the first Death Star, and I just don't think they brought him up. I mean, you only saw him in Empire as a shadowy head.
Right.
And that was only, I mean, I like that where they...
Okay, now I
What did we
see
see?
Garrett.
Who did we see in the Empire?
This is kind of creepy.
The Emperor.
Stop it, Becca. God. Quit. There we go.
That's why I'm like, does Grand Moff Tarkin hold the same type of power, or close to it, or in the middle? Is he the middleman, basically, between?
He was obviously good enough to be assigned the Death Star, so I think that's kind of like, well, he's the boss. I'm going to do what he does.
Right.
Like Gary said, Vader respected him from before he was a Grand Moff.
Kevin, it's not like asking somebody to watch your fucking dog for you.
I don't know. Vader didn't do a good job of watching a 2-meter wide hole. I mean,
No, that's true.
you only have one fucking job: blow up guys in a pickle barrel that were basically just laying there. I'm sorry.
There are plot holes, Gary. We know that.
I love it on Robot Chicken. What the hell's an aluminum falcon? Wait a minute. You've been flying around for 2 weeks trying to get a signal. You must smell like 30 feet wrapped in burnt leathery bacon.
And get your torso black red ass back here.
Hey, James, glad to see you made it back with us. You got anything you wanted to throw out there with in regards to Force Awakens?
Carrot, potatoes.
I don't know. I listened to some of this. I just drove back from Clearwater, so I'm like driving. I'm driving and I have it up like mounted in my car, so I'm like watching you guys, watching my data slowly rise. But
We're not paying for it, dude. So forget it.
Work pays for it anyway, so it works out.
Were there any questions, issues, or anything like that you had the way with the Force Awakens flowed?
Hey, if we're gonna start talking the Force Awakens, I'll jump in there. I got plenty to say about that.
The main thing I hated was there was not enough backstory. One minute she's running away, the next minute she can fight with, the head Sith person. I mean, come on, like, You gotta
Well-
tell us at least. You gotta tell us a little bit about it. It just can't be.
In all
she's
fairness,
just some random chick that's living.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I agree with you because it made absolutely no fucking sense because Luke Skywalker, you know, his parents got blasted and then he's taken away with Obi-Wan to be trained to be a Jedi and suddenly she's fucking Jedi? That's
His aunt and uncle got blasted.
Well, they're-
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, aunt and uncle. Sorry.
in all
Yeah,
fairness, Kylo.
Savage here.
Oh, we've got a nerve, and it's pulling over.
In all fairness, though, Kylo is not actually a full-blown Sith. He is just somebody that Snoke is training. He is a
Not
not.
a red lightsaber, dude.
Yeah, but he's a badass. Everyone's afraid of him. Now we got some like
and Rey
13-year-old
found a
girl.
lightsaber.
My dad has a bad temper. I'm afraid of him when he gets like that too.
Yeah, my thing is she's like a 15-year-old girl. Like, how much does that make them look like pussies of a 15-year-old?
And can fly the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, she's a jack of all trades.
She's
Yes,
force
she is.
sensitive. I mean, Luke was
She's
Kylo
Ren's sister.
Nah, I don't agree with that.
I hope to God that's not the case.
I still hope
I'd
it's
like it to be
something.
not so
God,
homo-
the people off tonight. Look.
Like, I hope it's something related to like another Sith. I hope it's like Dooku's sister's kid or something stupid like that. You know. I hope it's something ties into him all the time. You know?
I heard an interesting rumor that Supreme Leader Snoke is actually that Sifo-Dyas Sith that that could overcome death, yet somehow
There's a canon.
Palpatine killed him.
There is a canon story
Darth Plagueis.
where,
The wise.
That's who it is.
as far as Sifo-Dyas goes, there's a canon story. I think it's the next to last season on Star Wars Clone Wars. He is basically tied up. Yoda finds him on the Sith homeworld, tied up, and just basically nuts. He's completely out of his freaking mind. Dooku locked him up there and then took his name, and Dooku's the one that had the clone army built. So Sifo-Dyas is gone. He's out of the picture. He's
Have
I
you
mean-
ever thought
Not
of the theory
necessarily.
that
I meant
Kylo might be
Plagueis.
like a, I don't want to say like a double agent, but Kylo may be kind of playing both sides.
We touched on that earlier.
I doubt that.
I think Finn will end up being like a sleeper agent. They let him go too easy.
You know, what you think about this, guys? You just sitting there and you're theorizing. You're wondering.
Han is still alive, damn it.
Oh,
no, Dad, he fell.
He fell out of carbonite. He survived carbonite.
Wait, he is listed to reappear as something in the second one.
No, stay out of
They
the
better
kitchen.
not
Well,
Jedi glue him. He was
stay out of the
Why
he
kitchen.
better not
ghost
get
yet?
Stay out.
They better not Tupac hologram Han Solo.
There's a rumor that
You
there's
have
a
a
list
better,
of, there's a
better
list of
chance of
memories.
seeing Elvis goddamn Presley showing up in the next Star Wars than fucking Han Solo. Okay?
There are memories that go back to explain some of the things that happened that in the past, you know, with Han and Leia and that kind of thing. So it's
Brad's right, because Harrison Ford's already building the credits for the next one.
he's on the shot list, dude. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
going to be there.
Well, you'd have to be. It's Han Solo, for God's sakes. I mean, it'd be like if they did an Indiana Jones fucking prequel and they didn't invite him. It'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he still gets the producer credit and a check, but we may not
Yeah.
see him.
Exactly, you know.
I agree with
I'm
James.
Indiana Jones. No, you're not anymore. Yeah, no, I am. I'm
I agree.
Indiana fucking Jones.
I agree with I agree with James though. I mean, I got the serious issues I always had. I mean, I didn't really like the movie all that well anyway. Yes, okay, you know, beat me.
In my opinion, it was as the Clone Wars being the worst one, it was the second to worst one, in my opinion. I enjoyed the movie. I liked it. It was a great movie. It just wasn't a great Star Wars movie.
It wasn't. What the problem was with like 1977 New Hope. It had a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and it could have just left it that way, and you'd go, okay, cool. You'd still had questions, but this one, you had questions from the beginning to the end of what the fuck is going on, like Finn, Rey, Han Solo suddenly dying, and the only character I could connect with, me personally, it was Kylo Ren. That's it. That's the only person I thought was good in the whole fucking film.
And I don't think
and the stormtrooper that was played by Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Finn was awesome. I liked him. I really did.
I really hope to start off the next movie that Luke has turned to the dark side, and it's a setup, and once Kylo's going to appear, and they're going to turn on her. That's what I really hope happens. But
A recruiter.
Maybe. I just don't think Disney has the balls to do that, to turn him bad, but who knows?
I don't know, Mark's...
To turn Luke bad?
No, I think Luke already is bad, and I think he's working with Kylo, and I think they're going to try to turn Rey in the start of the next movie.
I don't think so. I think he's going to train her, and then she's going to beat the shit out of Kylo Ren, and they're going to find out that they're related somehow.
Yeah.
That's a more Disney-esque thing,
Yeah.
Well,
every Disney movie has somebody
and I'm not trying to like delve into personal issues or anything like that. But it reminds me.
Why would you
your
even
daughter.
start that?
Holy shit! Ray is Olivia.
Okay.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
She's
Get
Where are we
another
going
drink.
with
Lucas.
Shit's getting deep now.
I won't let her fume. She's breathing in that basement.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is, if Rey is
About
Luke's
180
daughter,
proof.
if she is in that timeline, she's losing her hand. I mean, she's losing her hand in the next movie.
Now,
Right.
here's something I didn't follow when she was fighting Kylo Ren. This whole lightsaber battle was going on. Did she just cut him up a little bit? She didn't cut anything off.
No. She just nicked his face and nicked his leg.
Yeah, because
Guys, when they were fighting, the Force awakened it.
I'm going to need more than that for her being able to master those skills just like that.
yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, because basically now that she has all these skills, they don't need a third one. They don't need another one. They can just do the second one; it'll be done and over with.
Be like
Hey,
that.
guys,
Unless
Put her in a western. Do
all
that.
of you all.
unless she gets pregnant.
The third one will be just as good as the
I got
Matrix
my
Revelation.
brother here. I got my cousin. I got Rick. We've all had our history and stuff like that. If you're gonna cut something of mine off, what would you cut off with a lightsaber?
Your ears?
God damn, dude. Where are you?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know where he's at.
Can someone call an ambulance?
There's a reason you're in the basement.
He's broken. Somebody broke him.
I am in the basement, asshole.
Back in the basement, Quasimodo.
Igor. Igor.
It's a comedy hour. It's a
And
comedy
so the
hour.
discussion degenerates into this.
They got here.
Did anyone have any guesses or any theories that actually came true with before they saw the new movie? Did anyone say, I knew that was going to happen, or have any idea?
No, I avoided everything.
I love every thought.
Yeah. I had some theories that came true.
Well, which ones?
It's probably those
We
terrible
saw
movies.
Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and Luke. I mean, that was it. I knew we were going to see them, so that was about it.
Well, that's not really a prediction.
I know, but that's about the only predictions I had for it.
I thought it was going to be dark, but I thought it would end positive and happy because it's Disney.
But
Honestly,
it didn't.
honestly, my prediction was that we would see Luke train someone new to kick Kylo's ass, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
We just got the whole 2-minute circle of seeing them stand there. And
I was hoping to see Carrie Fisher's face move more.
Yeah.
Kind of like a rigid death mask.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
That's all those years of drugs, dude. She's
right. So let me
Oh,
pose this question.
I'm sure it'll be blast.
what's the question?
So, with the way that the industry's going right now, where everyone's sequel happy, you think when they wrote this movie, they wrote with that in mind and let some of these holes in in episode 7 on purpose, so that they would answer them
Absolutely.
later.
Absolutely.
Instead of doing it like episode.
Start, yeah.
They just spent $4 billion, dude. They're going to get their money's worth. Guaranteed.
If they didn't do that, my dick's 4 feet long.
Well, look, they did
Okay.
do that with episode
I know what I'm going
4.
to cut off with a lightsaber.
With that, wait a minute. Wait,
No.
Rick. What do you mean by episode 4?
Because episode 4 can stand on its own as a movie by itself. And I
Yeah,
don't
but
think-
that was 1977. They thought that movie was going to be shit anyway.
right. So do you think they should have wrote episode 7 that way too, instead of trying to draw it out over 3 movies like they're doing?
Oh well, I mean, yeah, but that was my issue with the whole movie. Yeah, but I think the reason they did that was because they spent $4 billion and they've got to get the money out of it. Because how many spin-offs are there? There's like
3
what?
or 3 or 4.
Well, there's more than that. It's like 5 or 6.
They didn't spend $4 billion. That's kind of an over-exaggerated assumption.
How much
What?
did they pay George Lucas?
4 billion. 4.2.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about the movie itself, not.
But we're talking about the franchise. They bought the
George
franchise.
Lucas $4 billion.
And then spend another 200 million on the movie.
Right.
Yeah, but they didn't have to pay any actors. Everybody made like shit. Nobody made money. I mean, I'm sure the
Harrison
returning people
Ford made
did,
that.
but I doubt Kylo made a lot or Rey made a ton.
Well, they're not getting.
They get licensing from the figures and the toys.
Yeah, they don't
Okay,
get points.
guys,
The
God
only-
damn, somebody
The
stop.
only difference.
And regular one at a time here. Holy fuck.
The only difference is that the only difference. The only difference is that they didn't get points. They don't get points. They just get straight. As where in 1977 everybody got points, and they made a shit ton of money.
You know what? 1977. You're right, Brad. 1977 got points. That was the year I was born.
With your 8-inch dick.
It has been cut down.
Well,
so-
It's been cut down.
He came out dick first. They just kind of like.
dun 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 dun. Like
So, what is Star Wars at right now, like, overall, worldwide? I know they're number 1, but are they crushing everything? Are they making it so that
Billions.
it's not going to be touched? Or are we going to see
I
the new
heard
Finding
they-
Nemo movie and it's going to beat it out?
Well, it's like 1.2 billion or almost 1.5 billion or something like that. Are you talking about money-wise? Money-wise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like 1.5 billion. But I mean,
well, I mean, you're talking.
but Star Wars is going to make a shit ton of money no matter if it's bad or good. I mean, because look at the first 3. They sucked. And they made
Exactly.
$500 million in just the States alone. So,
Yeah,
Well, I
but
mean,
it's irrelevant because, I mean, as long as they can come with good stories, then hell, I'll pay to see it. But if the next one is as bad as this first one, or, the one they just had, I won't. I'll wait for DVD.
You sit there and looking at Brad, and you're exactly right. I hate to say it, God forbid me saying Brad is right, but you sit there and look at it.
What did I do?
I'm gonna get a Pac-Man
I'm
sound.
waiting for the goddamn movie to fucking, open
What?
up and stuff like that. We sit there, and me and my brother waited so long to sit there and see the movie, to get tickets or whatever. It was George Lucas. George Lucas made movies. God, it wasn't as bad as Willow, was it? No, it was Star Wars.
Hey, you leave
we
Willow
sit
alone.
there-
Hey,
I liked Willow.
I like Willow. Sorry.
Okay, God, I'm sorry, I mentioned Willow.
Who you were talking to?
Yeah, you're not bullshitting the guys at work.
Okay, Howard the Duck.
I
Okay,
like Howard the Duck too.
Oh my God.
I saw that in the theater.
don't let him bullshit you. He watched that movie just as many times as I did.
Rick,
What?
you saw that at a theater. You saw Howard the Duck at a theater.
Yeah, my dad took me.
I saw it at the theater. Yeah.
I would like to move for a new mediator.
Don't let Rick.
Oh, you think? Oh, okay.
Hey Rick, don't let him bullshit you.
When you see that fucking movie is just insane.
Is there any more about Star Wars?
They could put Kid and Play in the next one, and I'll go watch it. It could be the biggest piece of shit in the world, and they're gonna get my money. So.
Hey, I do. Here, I got a question. Did you guys notice that C-3PO was a very bland matte gold finish? What was up with that?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And he had a red arm. I didn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Like I said, Brad. Like I said. He is a different tone in every movie.
Bring it here.
No, he's not. He's dirty or he's clean, but he's not a matte finish gold.
Yeah, his finish didn't have the shine to it at all, and in a lot of the originals he might have been dirty or something, but you could still see parts that were reflective, kind of a chrome kind of finish to him.
So basically, Star Wars has made $1.961 billion. $2 billion.
So they made half their money.
Luckily, 3PO is still in the relevant. So.
Uh-oh, what was that? Repeat that?
It was still irrelevant. He showed up like, remember me?
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's my thing. Like, how does Obi-Wan not remember him? How does nobody remember 3PO and R2-D2? There's so many loopholes with that.
No, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the droid I built.
Yeah, exactly.
The idea behind it is they're supposed to forget them.
Were you supposed to forget that he built the droid?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It may not be that big of a deal.
I get that the droids forget people because they wipe their memories.
Yeah, but I can remember my first car.
Yeah.
Sorry, I remember my first bicycle. I didn't build it, and it wasn't a droid.
Brad,
but,
what was your first car?
It was gold with one red fork.
Brad.
One red door.
Exactly. It was red. It was red. My first car was a Chevy Cavalier.
Ah, fuck.
All right, more Star Wars. Here we go.
Yeah. More Star Wars. So, yeah, and the whole thing. If I see another Death Star, that's what's going to piss me off.
Yeah.
I'm over the Death Star.
I've already made a comment on that I felt that was a cheap move to use another planet-sized destroying space station.
Well, I think it was meant to like level the playing field. There's no Republic, and the First Order has now lost their main weapon base.
And that's something I didn't understand either. Why did they call it the Republic? Why didn't they just call it the what it was before? Why did they have to go with the First Order? It's not the First Order.
Right.
Well,
because it was like a Nazi offshoot of the Empire.
Oh, like the SS or something like that.
Yeah, it was.
To be quite honest, man, I really thought that Lawrence Kasdan, as good as a writer as he is, I thought the whole screenplay and everything was going to be a lot better than it was. But then again, dealing with this kind of stuff all the time, I see where the maybe it wasn't just that the script might have been fantastic, but once you get the executives in there, they start tearing shit apart and making it inconceivable or incomprehensible sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least Lucas wasn't in on it.
Honestly, it might have been better.
Well, he was a little bitter because he was like, they didn't want to use any of my ideas. No, I don't want to talk about trade embargoes.
Truthfully, I swear to God, I wonder if Lucas hadn't had a hand in it, writing it or something like that, would have been a different twist to it or something like that.
Probably not.
It wouldn't automatically be good. Like look at Francis Ford Coppola. Apocalypse Now, amazing. Godfather 1 and 2, amazing. Godfather 3, come on. Who's gonna watch that crap?
That was horrible, dude.
What's he done since? It's like each filmmaker has a finite amount of brilliance in them, and if they use it all up, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, David Fincher, Gone Girl was kind of, people liked it, but it wasn't Fight Club. It wasn't The Game. I mean, Spielberg even, like, going back and changing
Oh,
E.T.
dude.
to edit out of the guns. I mean, it's like, what the hell? I get it. You're older, different filmmakers. So
Yeah,
make
but-
older, different films.
But Steven Spielberg went back and said, that was a bad idea, and then put the guns back in the Blu-ray.
And that's why
But-
I'll watch whatever he does
Well,
next. 'Cause
But the thing about it is as far as like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, I mean, even when they started doing Indiana Jones, I mean, the third one sucked. It was terrible, So,
Yeah.
but they, when Steven Spielberg got married and had kids and all that, I mean, he just completely changed all of his views on how to make movies and what he was going to make in movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it changes the
And I
father.
think- I think that's what happened to George Lucas too. So
Yeah.
Well, George Lucas,
You
there's a funny theory.
third Indiana Jones movie sucked.
There's a funny theory about George Lucas about how after his divorce, like all the women characters were just written as shit, as terrible people. He's just like, fuck women. They're just gonna.
Well, I'm sure after my divorce, I would have written the same goddamn shit, but
He hasn't made anything good since American Graffiti. You know it.
Jacob was. Padme got choked.
I disagree, Brad. We, you and I and David and my brother, and we watched the third Indiana Jones movie and had a great time watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I think probably what you're trying to say is
The fourth one?
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I didn't think 3 and 4 both. I agree. 3 and 4 were not Indiana Jones as far as I was concerned. I mean, I like the movie, but it's not in the same as like Raiders of the Lost Ark and
Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were both very, very dark movies. I mean,
I'm down with anything that
when you go back...
But anyway, any more Star Wars?
We should call this the Tangent Club. Like, hello, tangents going to go off on today.
Let's rename the group. That's what we did. Yes.
Rick, you're way off. You're not a good moderator, dude.
Well, you try moderating this motley crew.
I agree.
I gave him an impossible task. Because I just short of having shotguns at each house.
James, anything else that you didn't like about?
I didn't like how we didn't see a lot of Poe, but I get that they're making him the new Han Solo. They've got to kill Han off so we can build a story for him.
Ooh.
I think that he's going to be the next Han. That they're kind of just rebuilding from the bottom up. I think so.
I remember a lot of friends complaining, like, not getting to see Poe escape Jakku.
Yeah, that was kind of lame. They should at least.
And I'm here. Like, what a pilot! Oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that guy. Do I sense him to the Force, or?
And
Here's an
I
idea.
hate flashbacks. I think flashbacks are like cheap. I think they're really cheap. So I hope they don't do a flashback.
The thing I loved about the movie the most was when they repeated the whole thing that happened in Empire Strikes Back, where she had the whole vision of what was going to happen past future.
Yeah.
I thought that was the best part of the freaking movie, man.
I really
The movie
liked...
was when Kylo went ape shit and
Yeah, that
destroying,
too.
and then
Yeah.
the stormtroopers are like,
Yeah.
no, fuck this, I'm not going. That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I have an idea for our next one. We should all get a bottle of liquor of our personal choosing, and when we come off on a tangent, we have to do our shot.
Oh! Oh!
So basically, what you
I will be annihilated because I'll be talking about Ghostbusters, and Mad Max, and all that.
So basically, what you want to do is just add more chaos to this entire.
Basically.
It's all good. Hey, but we
It'll
should.
be easy. It'll be easy for me because Brad bought me my shot for Christmas. So
You still have that? Jesus.
come on, I'm not a fan of fucking
I figured that'd have been gone a long time ago.
asshole.
So we're purchasing pushing 11. That'll
Yeah.
make 3 hours. I think we probably should.
Yeah.
Let's save some for next time, right?
So one more topic to hash over.
I feel sorry if I ever have to edit this down.
Oh dear God, it's gonna be a long night.
Hey, have you guys?
Well, I
have
think
bought
if we going to drive anything, home right now, what is our next topic?
Well, there's one thing I want to say before we get off here is like I think you guys, and I'm sorry, Jacob, but yeah, we'll discuss what that is. But I think, have you guys bought like the Art of Star Wars, the Force Awakens?
No.
Yes, I have it right here.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I haven't even gotten through it yet. It's amazing.
I mean, if you look at the progression, it has the script in there. If you look at the progression from beginning to end, if they'd stuck with the beginning and the middle, then yeah, exactly. If they'd stuck with some of that beginning and middle, then I think the movie would have been a hell of a lot better, to be quite honest.
Oh yeah, they cut a lot of stuff. Like, remember when they fired Starkiller Base and it hit the Republic, and it closed up on this chick in like a uniform, for like 3 seconds. I'm like, who is that?
Right.
And then, so I bought my boys the Star Wars Visual Dictionary.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole section on her. She's like, since Leia isn't really thought well of in the Senate now, she's her emissary and this and that. And I'm like, so there's obviously lots of stuff cut out, which I'm looking forward to. I love behind the scenes stuff. If you check the sidebar, I put some links for like some of the special effects breakdowns, but I love like seeing lost scenes that add extra context, and
I do too.
Like that's why I have like all these art books. Like I love seeing like what went into making stuff, and
yeah, that kind of bores me, but yeah, no, I'm kidding.
You liar.
It doesn't affect me.
I do
what he does.
It's my job. It's what I do every day. So
It's on his license.
Asshole.
no, I'm not.
How many assholes we got in here? Yo!
All the Bradford boys are proud of their assholeness. Proud.
No, but yeah, I agree with you, man.
Hey,
that's what I was saying. Is those books are great.
They are. I've got
the visual dictionary is great too because it explained why Kylo Ren's lightsaber has that serrated edge, and it has like a cross section that shows like the cracked crystal and stuff.
Can somebody please describe that to me and why?
He's got a cracked kyber crystal.
Oh, really?
Which causes it to be all erratic. Oh. And he has the shunts out the side, the quillions they're called, to dissipate excess energy. Otherwise, the thing would blow up in his hand, basically.
Okay.
Well.
Okay.
They're actually vents.
One theory.
I think
one theory that I have heard about that is, God knows I can relate to this, is the fact that his
come on.
Basically, the explosive serrated edges from his lightsaber and stuff like that is from his anxiety.
Okay. Well, here's the thing: is he so poor that he can't buy a new crystal? I mean,
if you ever played,
well, you can't buy a crystal. You gotta go find the fucking thing, Brad. Holy
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Shit.
Hold up, Jake. Hold up.
I'll wait my turn.
Okay.
In the video game Star Wars Knights of the Republic 1 and 2 for Xbox, you actually had to go create your own lightsaber using these things called kyber crystals, and that's what gives you the color and the shape and the form of it. And that's why his edge is serrated, because he's got a cracked crystal.
Right. But
he never really followed through on anything enough to do it right. Like, that's the dark side.
So he's a teenager, basically.
Yeah.
I suspect the next Star Wars, his lightsaber blade, I don't mean his dick either, will probably be well formed.
Much like your thought process.
And
And if my
Oh,
hand
they
was
might be
12
both.
inches, it would be a foot.
Hey
right?
Kevin, do you guys still want alcohol involved in this conversation?
I just
No.
more.
Oh, geez.
I thought there was a reason why you jumped up so fast.
As long as we do double shots and sets, so that the people who take us on the tangents the most pass out the first.
I'm
Maybe it'll
sure
work
the, yeah, I'm sure the conversation will get a lot more focused. Everyone kind of like drops off, and it's just like,
Right.
It's funny because as the night progresses, everybody's like, who the fuck Princess Leia?
So,
All right.
So what? So we know that, Han. So what are we going to talk about next, guys? I don't want to be the mediator here, but what are we going to talk about next time?
Well, I guess first we should discuss when we want to do next.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when?
Well, I've got the setup for all this, so we can do it pretty much anytime you want to.
That's not an answer.
and if anybody can't make it,
What is?
That was so far from the fucking answer. That was like an OJ answer.
What can I say? I got a boring life.
And this one, we may do some others in between, but I would like to do one in maybe 4 or 5 weeks once this season of the X-Files, or mini-series of the X-Files.
Ooh, good idea.
so good.
You want to meet again in 4 or 5 weeks?
I'm just saying, I want to put that out there.
Definitely X-Files.
I'm on hiatus for 2 months, dude, so I got plenty of time. But except for Tuesday.
Whenever. I mean, just let me know. If I can make it, I will. If not, I'll see you next time.
What is this? Today's what, Saturday?
Yeah.
The 30th, yeah.
All day.
Why don't we do it every other Saturday or something like that? You know?
Sounds like a game plan.
I mean, and that way we can just, I mean, I don't want to take control here, but maybe we can just discuss some of the films that we've seen or some other topics.
Are you the Phantom Menace? Are you the Force Awakens?
Yeah.
What's that on like? What, Kevin?
General.
Nothing.
Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, it's not a strictly Star Wars discussion, so absolutely we can talk about any other movies,
Games,
not movie
PCs,
related.
consoles.
That's
good. That's cool.
We can make it a book club. You guys could watch. You guys could read The Giver this week, and we could.
Yeah.
50 Shades of Grey.
And the sequel's The Taker? Is it?
I'm sorry. And I hate to say this, but James, I can't take you seriously. You look too much like Tim fucking Tebow.
You're giving him weird feelings in his man parts.
I'll go throw on my Tim Tebow jersey here in a second.
Yeah. Yes. I have no idea.
Goddamn Denver fan.
I've got 7 episodes left in the 1980s version of The Twilight Zone. I finished all the original.
Nice.
And,
Love that.
The 80s version, man, it's cheesy, but some of the stories are pretty good. They're very weird and out there, but I mean, so was the 50s version. So.
Right.
Oh God, he's got gator shit behind me.
Haven't you noticed his screen name yet?
Anyway.
Here we go with tangents again.
Just so you know, I'm not a sports fan, so I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah. I'm not into sports.
Is that better?
Just don't show
Anyways.
off your thong.
So
2 weeks.
Okay.
And I guess we could probably discuss in the email thread or the Facebook thread about what we want to talk about. Until then.
What movies are coming out soon, by the way?
Well, we got
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, God, yeah, please, let's discuss that. I love that movie. I want to see that bad.
Oh.
Yeah, seriously.
We'll have some disagreement.
You're the
Oh,
first
really?
person I've met that says that.
Really? I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Deadpool is out next week, right?
yeah, Deadpool.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I want to see that too. Definitely.
All right.
Hey,
I don't know. You guys should look on the internet. But what was that? Was it Green Lantern? Was that the one that Ryan Reynolds did before?
Yeah.
Have you seen that picture where he has He's doing the exact same pose, the exact
With a
same
red
poster
puck.
and everything for Deadpool.
Oh, seriously? Yeah.
It's
awesome.
hilarious. Yeah.
Well, he makes a joke about it in the credits. As long
Yeah,
as
exactly.
you
Yeah,
get a green suit.
yeah. Just don't give me.
You look like an avocado had sex with an older avocado.
Hey, another movie that I really want to see is Hail Caesar.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Coen
Coen
Brothers.
Brothers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's gonna be another Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, or Big Lebowski. I'm just.
Oh yeah. Totally, absolutely. But that comes
All right.
out February 5th, so yeah.
Okay.
Or we can talk about The Choice. No, I'm kidding.
Talk a pro choice or
We're not talking
Jake.
about any of that.
No, we're not.
Oh,
No
okay.
political discussions.
yeah, please.
All right,
A
guys.
choice. I don't know.
All right, so
That wraps that up.
yeah.
I'll see you guys later.
Alrighty. Bye,
See you
buddy.
later.
Thanks for having me.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Salute.